To others, please silence all phones. If you would like to address an issue that is on the agenda, or if you would like to speak to the council regarding a non-agenda item, please complete a speaker request form, which can be found in the front lobby of the Peoria City Council chambers or in the tray to the left of the speaker's podium. Please place the completed speaker request form in the second tray to the left of the speaker's podium labeled Request to Speak. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown clock is easily visible on the left side of the wall behind the City Council dais. Only items listed on the agenda may be addressed by the council. Since items presented as part of a speaker's request have not been listed on the agenda, and due to the requirements of open meeting laws, the council will be unable to respond to items presented as part of the speaker's request. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time, in the order that the forms were received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Peoria City Council meeting.
Peoria City Council meeting will now come to order. Please rise for a moment of quiet reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Finn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Carlett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Here.
Councilmember Patena.
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Finn.
Here.
Councilmember Hunt.
Here.
Councilmember Leone.
Here.
Good evening and welcome to the Peoria City Council meeting of July 5th, 2016. We will begin this evening with a presentation of certificates of election to a member who will serve on the Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Local Board. So I am going to come down to the front and hopefully Mr. Norm Bacon is here. If you would like to meet me down front, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. You know, the public safety retirement system is something that's really critical, not only for the retirement of our police and firefighters, but also for the well-being of our city, and it's a state board, and it's, you know, it requires a lot of time. I think early Monday mornings is when we get together, so, you know, I see that you dressed for the occasion. I feel like I should have dressed up. should have worn a few more pieces of gear tonight. Yeah, I hope you're not going to come to our Monday morning meetings like that. Here is your certificate, and thank you. I appreciate all of your extra service.
Appreciate it, Ms. Mayor.
The next item on the agenda is another presentation, and this one is going to be delivered by Vice Mayor Binsbacher. This is recognition for exemplary citizenship. So go ahead down and to the front.
Good evening. Well, this award goes to some citizens that did something amazing in the Mesquite District at the Vistancia Public Pool. There was a father at the pool with a 2-year-old child that he lost track of for a short time, and then found that child face down in the water. And thanks to these two that were trained and responding immediately to this situation, this child was saved and transported and doing great as far as I know. So I would like to call Tate Mitten from North County Fire and Medical and his wife, Manon Mitten, who is a nurse. And these two were at the pool, and when the father was calling for help, they responded immediately. And this is absolutely an example of exemplary citizenship, and also really reminds us how important it is to have these skills. So even as everyday citizens that aren't necessarily trained in this profession, to have the skill to be able to step up can be really critical and change a life. It also reminds us that when you are, when you've taken an oath to serve the way you do, it doesn't end when your shift ends. It's a lifestyle. And thank you for making it your lifestyle and for sharing that in our community, because it changed the outcome for a family and their child. Thank you very much. And I'm going to present you with your certificates today.
Right, thank you. So we will move on to the consent agenda, and tonight's consent agenda includes liquor licenses or other types of items that require a public hearing. If there is any member of the public present who wants to address a public hearing on the consent agenda, please complete a speaker request form, place it in the bin next to the speaker's podium. Is there a member of the public who would like to have any item removed from consent? All right, seeing none, is there, council, are there any items to be removed from consent? All right, may I have a motion?
I'll motion. Second.
Thank you. Council, please vote. It passes unanimously. So we will now move on to new business. Item 16R. This is a public hearing, General Plan Amendment, 83rd Marketplace, 83rd Avenue in Happy Valley. This is the General Plan Amendment, and item 17R is rezoning of 83rd Marketplace, 83rd Avenue in Happy Valley. So, Mr. Swenson, will we be doing a presentation on both of these jointly?
Yes, Adam Pruitt from our planning department will be making the presentation on both items together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swenson. Mayor, Council. There are two requests before you tonight, a minor general plan amendment and a rezoning application, both to allow a neighborhood-scale commercial development on a 9-acre parcel located at the southeast corner of 83rd Avenue and Happy Valley Road. This is a signalized intersection of two major transportation corridors through the city. Happy Valley Road is a 6-lane east-west corridor that connects Loop 303 to I-17 with limited interruptions. And 83rd Avenue is a major north-south arterial connecting a variety of residential communities to both Happy Valley Road and Lake Pleasant Parkway. The subject property is in close proximity to Sunrise Mountain and in the general vicinity of the West Wing Mountain community and the future Alora Vita development to the north. To the east is Sunrise Vista Community, and to the south is a 230-foot wide SRP power line corridor that serves as a buffer to the Cailejos residential development. To the west is a continuation of the SRP power line corridor and a mix of public and private vacant property. The property is currently designated park open space and estate density residential with a density range of 0 to 2 units per acre on the general plan, and is currently zoned Suburban Ranch SR 43, which allows for primarily large lot rural residential development. It should be noted that the park open space designation is typically assigned to properties intended for recreational uses or with unique characteristics such as hillside slopes, significant washes, or known archaeological resources. The park open space area in this application does not meet these requirements, and there are no plans existing or proposed that align with this designation. The applicant is proposing planned area development, or PAD, zoning for future commercial development. The PAD district allows an applicant to tailor the development standards and permitted uses to be unique to the property and respond to specific input from the community. Because the applicant is proposing a change that does not, a zoning change that does not align with the property's current general plan land use designation, the applicant has also filed a minor general plan amendment to change the aforementioned park open space and estate density residential designations to neighborhood commercial, the city's least intense commercial designation. Developments within the neighborhood commercial designation are described as smaller scale retail and service centers intended to serve local neighborhoods and those within about a 3-mile radius. These centers are generally 50 to 100,000 square feet in area. This proposal, the 83rd Marketplace, is anticipated to generate approximately 60 to 80,000 total square feet of commercial space. Though no specific users have been identified and the site plan is still conceptual, the 83rd Marketplace Planned Area Development Standards and Guidelines report does contain specific standards by which the future development must adhere. For example, the uses are to be consistent with the PC1, or Planned Neighborhood Commercial zoning district. The design standards will meet or exceed city's standards. The PAD requires native vegetation salvage and wash conservation. And the maximum building height has been limited to 30 feet, which not only aligns with the PC1 zoning district, but also all single-family residential districts within the city. There will be a prominent commercial node at the northwest corner of the site. This node will promote pedestrian activity, outdoor dining opportunities, and will have a frontage toward 83rd Avenue and Happy Valley Road, towards the hard intersection there. Drive-throughs will not be permitted at this location. Access has been limited to right-out turning movements only. Left-in movements will be allowed from 83rd Avenue and from Happy Valley Road at the easternmost driveway. And lastly, uses have been limited to exclude automobile-oriented uses such as gas stations, tire centers, and repair facilities. Also, drive-through uses have been limited in number. Only 3 are permitted. By type, only 1 fast food and 1 coffee or pastry use. And by location, none shall be closer than 200 feet from the eastern property line or 40 feet from the southern property line in order to minimize impacts on residential areas. The minor general plan amendment and rezoning processes require public notification upon filing with the city. Additionally, the applicant is required to hold at least 1 neighborhood meeting to inform the community of the proposal and to receive input. The applicant held 2 well-attended neighborhood meetings. The first was on February 9th at the West Wing Community Center, where the applicant presented the initial development concept to the community. A follow-up meeting was held on March 22nd at the Glendale Prep Academy, where the applicant presented concepts that addressed the concerns that were brought up during the first meeting. Staff attended both meetings and heard statements of support, opposition, and general commentary regarding the site and building design and preferred uses. This table shows the predominant concerns from the public and examples of how these concerns are being addressed in the PAD. Of note is the prohibition of auto-related uses, the limitations placed on drive-through types and locations, the limited access, particularly on 83rd Avenue, where the left-out turning movement has been prohibited, and a height restriction of 30 feet to ensure compatibility with the surrounding residential developments and the preservation of hillside views as determined by the line-of-sight study prepared by the applicant. Property owners and the HOAs within the notification radius were notified of the application and the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing in accordance with the city standards. Additionally, the property was posted and an ad was placed in the local newspaper at least 15 days prior to the hearing. And the commission heard both of these items before you tonight on June 16th, 2016, and voted unanimously to recommend approval of both items, GPA 16-0001 and Z 16-0001. One speaker was present from the public to speak in favor of the proposal. Based on the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation and the findings in your report, that this proposal represents an overall improvement to the general plan and corrects an inaccurate land use designation, namely the park open space designation in this request, and the introduction of compatible land uses with highly tailored standards, and the expansion of the overall mix of land uses to allow basic neighborhood services. It is recommended that City Council concur with the Planning and Zoning Commission and approve case GPA 16-0001 to redesignate 9.09 acres from estate density residential and park open space to neighborhood commercial, and concur with the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve case Z 16-0001 to rezone 9.09 acres from suburban ranch SR 43 to planned area development, subject to the conditions in your report. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions for Mr. Pruitt? All right, seeing none, I declare this public hearing open, and this is the public hearing on 16R General Plan Amendment, 83rd Marketplace, 83rd Avenue in Happy Valley. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to this issue? All right, seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Council, any discussion? All right, then do I have a motion on item 16R?
Actually, Mayor, you have a request to speak.
Oh, Councilmember Edwards?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a comment. I just want to thank the applicant for the second public meeting. It meant a lot to the residents in the area to be able, that weren't able to attend the first one due to the short notification, but you guys really stepped up and brought the second meeting. A lot of residents showed up. You listened to their concerns. I think the biggest concern was addressing the issue, Adam, like you were saying, of the left turn lane coming out of the property down 83rd Avenue. That was a major concern of the residents in the area, and you guys worked with the city to make that not happen. So I just want to thank you for listening to the residents and their concerns. Also about the height limitations, I know that was some of the concerns that they had. So you guys really listened to the residents, and that's what a partnership between a developer and the city is working together, listening to the residents so that everybody comes away happy. So I am in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Binsbacher?
Yes, I too would like to echo those comments. Thank you, Mayor. There was quite a public process, and it's very important to us in Peoria that we consider our constituents in that way and give them an opportunity to be heard. And there was a significant effort put forth, and I really appreciate that. I support this project as well and think it's a great plan for that corner. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All right, thank you. Council, please vote. And that is item 16R, and it passes unanimously. So we will now move on to item 17R. This is also a public hearing, rezoning 83rd Avenue Marketplace, 83rd Avenue in Happy Valley. So I am going to declare this public hearing open and ask if there is any members of the public who would like to address this issue. All right, seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Council, any discussion? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, council, please vote. And item 17R also passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to item 18R, contract Hayden Building, Police Patrol Services Building and Off-Site Improvements.
We're very pleased to have before you the construction contract for the Public Safety Center, the Police Precinct Center in the northern part of the city. And as the council has had before you on numerous occasions, we've talked about the details of this and the planning, and it's been a collaborative effort between our engineering department and our police department. And we have Andy Granger
Ed Striffler, and Deputy Chief Benny Pena, all here to help answer questions that the council might have. And I just need to say we're real happy to be at this point, and it's consistent with the clear direction of the mayor and council that we're moving this item forward, and we're very happy to be at a place to bring it to you for construction tonight.
Thank you, Carl. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening we'll be recapping project milestones pertaining to the Police Patrol Services Building at the Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Facility campus. We'll review the multi-step approach that staff is recommending to the award of the construction contracts. We'll recap schedule and the project budget for the benefit of the council, and conclude with our recommendations and Q&A. For the benefit of the viewing audience who may not have seen past council presentations, I'll recap some of the major milestones associated with the project. In November of 2014, the city purchased a 6-acre parcel adjacent to the current Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Facility in support of the concept of a campus expansion and in anticipation of a multi-phase police expansion on that new parcel. In April 2015, the city publicly solicited for a highly qualified, public safety-focused design-build team. We selected Hayden Building Corp., who the contract will be awarded to this evening, with the design partnership of Corgan and MWL. In August 2015, the City Council awarded the design phase of a 2-part design-build agreement to Hayden Building Corp., and this is the part Carl mentioned, and you encourage us to move swiftly through the process. September 2015, we held our first citizen open house at Sunrise Mountain Library, and we received very positive feedback from the residents in the area on our proposed concept for expanding that campus and for the first phase of building construction of the new Patrol Services Building. May 2016, we commenced bidding and permitting of the construction documents for the new building and the related 102nd Avenue and Lake Pleasant Parkway improvements. We're here this evening, tonight, July 2016, to present to the council the first of 2 guaranteed maximum price contracts for construction, the first being for site improvements and long lead building components, which we'll talk about. We have tentatively scheduled, subject to the council's action, a groundbreaking ceremony this Thursday at 8 a.m. at the site. We hope to see you there if this motion passes. And in August, when the council returns from recess, we anticipate presenting you the second and final guaranteed maximum price for the balance of the construction components. So why the 2-step approach to the award of construction? Hayden presented us the subcontractor bids on June 13th. That's not that many days ago relative to deadlines for this meeting. Our schedule targeted the award of the entire GMP before the summer council recess, but the bids for the on-site and off-site civil and landscape improvements, they made it through the full vetting process and have achieved their budget targets. Additional time is and was at that time needed to vet the building bids and resolve any variances from our budget targets. The building site work needs to start ahead of the building construction anyway, but in order to start the building construction, we need those priority building components like our special colored masonry, our building steel package, and in this case, doors to enable the construction of the CMU. To minimize schedule impact, staff recommended a 2-step award of this construction contract as follows. This evening, guaranteed maximum price construction package number 1 for horizontal improvements and long lead pre-purchase is just that. It's all of the horizontal stuff both on the site and on the adjacent 102nd Avenue and Lake Pleasant Parkway. And again, it includes the building structural steel package, the building masonry package, and the building steel doors and frames. In August, we would return for that second guaranteed maximum price. This would be the balance of the building components. And in addition to the doors, the windows, the carpet, and those kinds of things, it would also include those specialty building systems that we also build into new buildings like AV and security, as well as physical furnishings and building equipment. All 3 of the long lead items in the first package are all components where we see very little risk of having to change, so we're recommending them to be included in the first package. Reviewing the project schedule, again for the benefit of the viewing audience, it was November of 2014 when the council awarded that purchase of the 6-acre parcel. We awarded design in late summer 2015, and this evening we're here for the council to consider the award of the first of 2 guaranteed maximum price contracts for construction. Construction is anticipated to be complete and the building operational in fall of 2017, next year. with our LEED certification thereafter anticipated in winter of 2018. And just an update on the LEED certification on the building, we'll make our first of 2 submissions. The first one in August will give us a sense of how we're tracking toward our goal of gold certification. To recap the project budget, overall, the city's investment in the expansion of the Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Facility campus in this initial phase is $11.8 million. In this phase, all of the infrastructure will be in place to support a future phase of police expansion, a future city facility along Lake Pleasant Parkway, and communications infrastructure that allows us to consider the Pinnacle Peak campus when evaluating future long-term 911 dispatch growth needs. Tonight, Guaranteed Maximum Price Contract Number 1 is valued at $3.7 million. And in August, we anticipate Guaranteed Maximum Price Package Number 2 to be nearly $4.4 million. To recap staff's recommendation, we're recommending that the council award Guaranteed Maximum Price Contract Package Number 1 to Hayden Building Corp. in the amount of $3.7 million this evening. And I am happy to take any questions that the council may have.
Thank you. Well, I definitely want to say that I appreciate you dividing this into 2 sections so that you can get started quicker. Appreciate that efficiency. Council, are there any questions, comments? All right, well, in advance of a vote, I just want to say that I've been looking forward to this for a long time. It's great that we are getting this building under construction prior to us needing those response times up there to be changed. We're doing good getting out ahead of growth, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Council, please vote. Or Council, I guess what I need is a motion. I need a motion and a second first.
Second.
Well, we have a motion, a second, and a third. How about that? Please vote. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next
Denny, it looks so
item.
good, you might stay for the park presentation.
Next item is 19R, Hunter Contracting Company, Northern Community Park, Lake Pleasant Parkway, and Dixoletta Drive.
Well, just a brief comment before I turn it back over to Ed. This, of course, is finally, at long last, moving forward with the Northern Community Park. As the council is well aware, we presented this in the budget process and the capital improvement program, but I really want to credit the leadership of the mayor and council in moving this project forward as well. And also want to recognize Andy Granger, our engineering director, who was very helpful in maneuvering through the Maricopa Association of Governments funding process to bring additional money to the city so this project and several others could be moved forward. So great work, Andy, on that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ed Striffler for another presentation.
Thank you, Carl, and thank you again, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to present this project. We will start by recapping our portfolio of community parks in the city of Peoria. We will share with you the latest on the Northern Community Park Master Plan. We'll discuss the design-build team qualifications. We will review the project schedule and budget as it stands today, and we'll bring things to close with staff recommendation and Q&A. Again, for the benefit of our viewing audience who may not be familiar with the city's community parks, our first community park in the city of Peoria was Rio Vista Community Park. It is located at Thunderbird Road, west of the Loop 101. It's 53 acres in size, and it was completed in 2 phases between 2004 and 2007. It brought to the city amenities like lighted ball fields, urban fishing lake, sand volleyball, a skate park, a myriad of ramadas for everybody's picnicking pleasure, a splash pad, our gem in the middle of the park, the Rio Vista Recreation Center, and a Veterans Memorial. Applying lessons learned from Rio Vista Park and to better serve residents in the south neighborhoods in Peoria, we constructed Pioneer Community Park, our second community park. It's located on the southeast corner of 83rd Avenue and Olive Avenue. It's 80 acres in size, and it was completed in a single phase in fall of 2013. Learning from Rio Vista, on this park we added even more lighted ball fields, a bigger urban fishing lake, multiple play structures, again group and small picnic facilities. We introduced a dog park and a heritage garden, and this park also has a splash pad. In the image on the lower left, you'll see in Pioneer, we also started the introduction of large works of public art. In October of last year, staff presented to the council what is believed to be the most viable location for a large community park in North Peoria. This site, which we refer to as the New River Dam site, is 457 acres east of Lake Pleasant Parkway, south of the Loop 303 at Dixoletta Drive. This is a piece of land owned by the Flood Control District of Maricopa County behind the New River Dam and New River Levee along Lake Pleasant Parkway. The site offers several constraints, first of which is access and infrastructure needs over top of the levee and within the New River Dam impoundment pool. It involves review and approval by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which we'll talk about the schedule implications of later. And most of the land is within the floodplain, but we have a solution for that. Staff believes that the opportunities of this site outweigh some of the constraints. Highlights of some of the site opportunities are that this site offers a natural desert environment of an appropriate size and scale, as well as slope to allow for the construction of flat ball fields. Great access from Loop 303 and Lake Pleasant Parkway. The park is over 1 mile from the nearest residential home. That's actually a good thing, as we have a lot of illumination on our ball fields. And the residents do, of course, have concerns of just how close is that to their neighborhood. Passive recreation at this site can extend into the full impoundment area of the New River Dam, including the buttes. This opens up opportunities for hiking, dog walking, trail hiking up West Wing Mountain. And we have nearby infrastructure in Lake Pleasant Parkway. That's a good thing. Some of the sites which we evaluated in the study phase were quite distant from some of our available infrastructure. But probably the highlight of the benefits is that this land comes at a cost of $0 to the city of Peoria. So the award of this agreement tonight will set into motion the design of the Northern Community Park. Again, this park will be located at Lake Pleasant Parkway at Dixoletta, south of the Loop 303. The developed portion of the project will be approximately 120 acres, with the hope that it will be completed in a single phase in winter of 2018-2019. Amenities at this park will include, yet again, even more lighted ball fields than the prior, even more parking than the prior parks, an urban fishing lake of the same size as Pioneer, again, play structures and picnic ramadas, a dog park, a splash pad, a variety of play court types. Again, something important for this particular location, access to open space and trails. And following what we've done at Pioneer, we hope to integrate public art during the construction of the park versus thereafter. So let's transition into the master plan for the park, starting first with a larger view of where the park site is relative to existing development. I mentioned the Arizona Loop 303. You can see that in red, traveling east-west across the top of your image, and Lake Pleasant Parkway travels diagonally on the left-hand side of your image. You see the highlighted area referred to as the New River site, and I want to call your attention to the size of that at approximately 120 developed acres relative to the size of what is labeled the New River Dam impoundment area as a whole. You can see that being right next door to a large open desert area, we have all of that area in which to roam. I'd like to call to your attention the proximity to neighborhoods in the area, Sonoran Mountain Ranch subdivision to the east, Rock Springs subdivision on the south side of the actual New River Dam structure, the West Wing subdivision on the south side of West Wing Mountain, and the Pleasant Valley subdivision on the west side of Lake Pleasant Parkway. So we'll start with the overall view of the park master plan, and then we'll break it down into pieces and zoom in and discuss various parts so you can see some of the detail. This amount of developed area represents approximately 120 acres, and if you'll recall, I mentioned that Rio Vista was only 53 acres, and Pioneer was only 80 acres. So we're 50% larger in this diagram than Pioneer Park. Walking you in on the upper left side of your image, you see a roundabout along Lake Pleasant Parkway. This will be a new signalized traffic intersection. And then we have a large entry road that has to travel to the south, and it makes almost a U-turn around the levee structure where you're presented with a view of the park on the inside of the impoundment area. The large linear structure on the left side of your image that parallels that road is the levee structure that you can see when driving north on Lake Pleasant Parkway, large earthen levee. We have to get up and around that. And when we do, we're presented with a pristine natural desert environment into which we think our new park will find its home. What you see in yellow are natural corridors for water flows in the impoundment pool. And on the right-hand side, you can see that those yellow veins are much larger and do, in fact, flow frequently during flood events. But nestled through the park, you can see finer lines of yellow coming off of West Wing Mountain and ending in the park, but also coming from the north and traveling down to the center of the park. These are natural water courses, and they present the opportunity to situate amenities with respect to those water courses, which allows us to bring that natural desert wildlife vegetation into the center of the park as a feature. I'd like to highlight that when you enter the park at the south end of the levee, what you're presented with in the master plan is a large open view of 6 multi-use grass fields, much like a large great mall, a view of a beautiful fishing lake beyond which are some magnificent ball fields. Scattered around all of these and with a large ring road connecting it all are the other type of park amenities which we'll review in finer detail. So like Pioneer and Rio Vista, this park too will have a maintenance compound. You can see that in the upper left portion of the project site. This is kind of the down, dirty, and utilitarian area where incoming utility services and maintenance occurs. This is an area that is high out of the flood pool, so its location is important. You see the 6 soccer and multi-use fields. I apologize, the labels are a little washed out. They may be slightly better on your screen. Rio Vista Park has 2 multi-use soccer fields. Pioneer, we increased to 4. And in the Northern Community Park, we feel that there's a demand for up to 6. But these fields can do double duty. They also serve as the large event lawn for events like a 4th of July, a large concert in the park, a seasonal festival. And with any good large event comes the need for large amounts of parking. So we're proud to say that we've master planned in an additional 50% more parking spaces at this park than we have at Pioneer. Moving to the east side of the site, you see a large, what we call the 6-plex of baseball, softball fields. This exactly mimics what we did at Pioneer. It was a very successful arrangement of 6 fields, and we were pleased to be able to incorporate that into the master plan. Around these amenities, we focused on connectivity around them, within and between different amenity areas in the park. So lots of opportunities to do short walks, medium walks, and long walks. And to the north and west of the baseball fields, you see reference to different types of courts, whether it be tennis, pickleball, or volleyball. Those details will work themselves out in the final phase of design. At the south end of the park and closer to West Wing Mountain, we begin to see amenities like the large playgrounds and splash pad structure, a large group picnic ramada, basketball courts, possibly the reintroduction of BMX and a skate plaza, dog park, whose parking does double duty as trailhead parking for access into those passive recreation areas and up to West Wing Mountain. In the center, and I again apologize, the labels were in white and they don't show up pronounced here. To the east of the lake is something that we're introducing called a large tree bosque. In the second image on the bottom, you see a large shaded tree canopy. We would like to recreate that here in the Northern Community Park. Shade is at a premium in the desert, and no better way to accomplish that than with natural vegetation. Excellent opportunity to create an intimate gathering space, but also a large opportunity for large corporate rentals, et cetera. I apologize. Against West Wing Mountain, identifies an area for a future recreation center and possible future aquatic center. I believe you'll be speaking to some of those elements in an upcoming agenda item. But if they are in our future, they are cited in this master plan to allow spectacular views out over that large lawn of 6 multi-use fields across the fishing lake to the ball fields, and with spectacular views to West Wing Mountain directly behind. You can see here that we've given some consideration in the master planning phase for how that would all fit in. Applying a lesson learned from Rio Vista, it's a little challenging when you position the rec center in the middle of an operating park. So here we've looked at the opportunity to set that on the fringe, but again, orchestrate it into the whole such that when it has to be built, it doesn't disrupt the day-to-day operations within the park. So I'm assuming it sounds good so far, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you that there are some challenges that lie ahead. First, the image in the top is an actual image on the park site that was taken just over a month and a half ago. The fine folks at Hunter Contracting that are here in the audience brought their toys out, and we endeavored to dig some holes in the ground out there, and what we found is it's not farm fields. In fact, it's anything but. It is very hard earth, great for building earthen dams, as the flood control district figured out, but presents a challenge for us to build park amenities, specifically for digging utilities and for growing grass. But we have strategies that we think we can employ to overcome those risks. On the now versus later image, this park comes with an infrastructure investment that's different than Pioneer. Pioneer benefited from the fact that it was surrounded by existing infrastructure, whether that was our water treatment plant, existing roadways, water lines that were in the middle of the road. Here we don't have any of that. We have to bring it in a much longer distance from Lake Pleasant Parkway and up around the levee. So those infrastructure needs must be met first, and then we have to get into the amenities, and that's going to be a juggling act of just how far can we get on the list of amenities once we've accomplished the infrastructure. The image in the lower right, that of budget, we have $30.5 million over the 3 capital years of this project. And the master plan that you saw this evening may not be fully achievable with that $30.5 million. But in the design phase, we bring on the talents of the contractor and we get into estimates that correspond to design, and we are informed of just how far our resources will go, and we make design decisions accordingly. And we may be back to talk to the council about changes in budget decision depending upon the outcome in the design phases. The image in the center is that of Clock. As I mentioned, this is a project in partnership with the Flood Control District of Maricopa County, and it also involves federal resources of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So unlike Pioneer Park, in which we were really the only agency that had to permit it, here we have several agencies that are all partnering to make this go as swift as it can, but it will take time. There are attributes of this park that are more complicated than the prior, and will take some additional time to review. But we figure the best way to tackle some of these challenges are to bring on the most highly qualified help. So like Rio Vista and Pioneer Park, we chose the design-build delivery method for this project. And we selected the partnership team of Hunter Contracting with Valley Rain Construction and their design partner, Environmental Planning Group, or EPG, as the most qualified design-build team. Hunter Contracting is no stranger to the city of Peoria, nor is Valley Rain. They are both Phoenix-based construction firms with extensive parks, trails, and infrastructure experience. And you can see a long list of City of Peoria projects, many of which quite high profile, that they're each credited for. So we're pleased to have their talents on board. Environmental Planning Group, they too are no stranger to Peoria with prior successes including Hayes Park, West Wing Park, but most importantly, Pioneer Community Park. So we have those that learned the lessons on the last park at the helm of the design team ready to implement change and do it all again on the next one. As I mentioned, this project has a longer road to navigate toward completion, so you see some dates that are fairly far out. We're here this evening in July of 2016 asking the council to award the professional services portion of the design-build agreement. We anticipate some additional citizen and council design updates as we get into this fall, and we're moving in the design phase. Much like the preceding project, the public safety building, we anticipate bringing the construction contract back in multiple parts. Specifically, we intend to bring the site infrastructure first. There's a lot of time and money involved in digging out there, and that part needs a head start. The park amenities will follow by some time frame. We estimate the difference between summer 2017 and fall 2017, in which case you'll see the balance of the construction for the park amenities and the building structures. We are targeting construction completion and park operational at the end of 2018. As I mentioned, the total multi-year capital budget is $30.5 million, of which the design and construction professional services this evening represent $2.4 million of that $30.5 million investment. Our recommendation this evening is first to authorize a budget amendment and use of reserves in the amount of $750,000 to advance project funds from next year's capital program to the current fiscal year. Staff's estimate of funding split across 3 years was imperfect. I own that. So we need to shift a little of next year's funding forward to balance out the actual cash flow, so to speak, on the project. And we also recommend that the council approve the design-build agreement to Hunter Contracting Company in the amount of $2.4 million. In addition, you can see that we have city-paid expenses that are outlined for the council in their CC. So those 2 expenses represent a total of $2.6 million of award this evening. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Hunt?
Do we have that money already approved and do we have the money to pull forward?
Go ahead.
Mayor, members of the council, yes, in working with our budget department, we've got the cash flow, so to speak, to move that money forward. It was part of our capital budget that we presented to you and was approved, and we can move that money forward, and it doesn't really have any impact on our overall capital budget.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Binsbacher?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is funding that's already in place and been allocated for this project?
Correct, in the
Yes,
10-year
okay.
CIP.
And so if we do this, the digging will begin when?
Summer of 2017.
Summer of 2017. And then you mentioned citizen and council design updates. So can you just explain a little bit about how that will come together?
Sure,
And
Andy
the
Granger.
citizen engagement part of that?
Andy Granger will answer that
Okay,
question.
great.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been doing over the last several months is John Sefton, our Community Services Director, has been updating our Parks and Recs Commission board at their board meetings and the public that attends those as far as what our progress has been on this, the park pre-design and the master plan concept. What we plan on doing, we've had one large public meeting. We plan on having a follow-up. What we'd like to do is bring our final design consultant on board and let them get up to speed with where we are and get comfortable with the furtherance of a 30% design concept and some of the budget aspects of that before we come back to for a second larger public meeting that we anticipate will be in the mid-August to late August timeframe.
Okay, great. So I know that a lot of folks have emailed in and sent in requests, and we've been tracking that. So we'll be able to specifically follow up with those people to give them an opportunity to be heard.
Yeah, what we've been doing is gathering a list of everybody that's been a part of this public process, and we'll invite all of them as part of our notification process for that public meeting so that they can show up. It'll have the same kind of format, open house format, where we can have lots of staff there to answer individual questions. And if there wasn't something that was part of the park project or design process, we can address those at that time and explain our thought process behind what we're doing.
Okay, thank you. Very exciting. Thank you for this presentation.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Finn?
I just had one quick question. I think you mentioned that there might be coming back to adjust that total dollar amount for that project at some particular point. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, the mention of revisiting the budget would occur in the fiscal year 18 CIP. And in particular, there are a few elements of the park that we're discussing with staff. This park contemplates an irrigation well. And the $30 million investment or the $30 million capital program had not anticipated the infrastructure cost of an irrigation well. You may see that come back as its own standalone project in the Public Works Utility side of the CIP program, as they would be the operator of the well. Similarly, we'll be looking at all of those other elements that may have those other funding sources that could be considered.
So is there a percent variance that you might have in mind on this thing that you're thinking? A hard dig on a pool
I'll
is
answer
one
that
thing.
question.
A hard dig on a 400-acre project is something totally different. Just a little concern.
We can build a park for $30.5 million. And if you recall, when we originally budgeted this park, it was based off of Pioneer Park and how much that park cost 3 or 4 years ago. And since then, this park wasn't even, we didn't even have a final site at that point for this park site. Now we do. As Ed mentioned, we understand now some of the challenges of that, as well as some of the needs and wants of the community, which are larger than what Pioneer Park is and was at the time that we designed it. So there's going to have to be a balance, and what we do anticipate is it's going to be probably northward of $30 million. What we want to do is evaluate that with our design team. We haven't even got them on board yet, so that's where we'll go into 30% design. We'll start to get more of a budget understanding from our contractor through their pre-construction design services. We'll understand what we can potentially afford. It's still a forecast, and then we want to come back to council at that point and let you understand. From a pure anticipating what the potential cost could be, we think it may be with a lot of these amenities, and there's still some other wants out there, but we're looking in the $35 to $36 million budgetary aspect of the project. But that could get scaled back, that can be in phases, and that's what we need to anticipate over the next 6 to 12 months. And then we have to look at some of our other projects that we do during the evolution of a budget year for our capital program. As our city manager mentioned, there's always opportunities, funding opportunities, where we get reimbursed for some of our previous capital projects through MAG or some other processes, and hopefully we anticipate some of that to happen to hopefully ease some of the budget impact, if it is there. But that's what we are anticipating now with some of these major infrastructure costs that we have to complete in order to complete the park.
Okay, thanks.
Council, any further comments? All right, I just have to say that this has been a long time coming. I think the residents of the northern part of our city are looking forward to having some amenities close by, lighted ball fields, pickleball courts, just a few things, place to take your dog for a walk. So I know that there's a large number of people who are really looking forward to this and have been watching intently, waiting for it to happen. So I am very pleased that we are about to take a vote. Council, do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, please vote. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is 20R, Quality of Life Citizen Review Committee. Mr. Swenson.
Sure, I can give a brief introduction when Tammy's coming up. 2 meetings ago of the City Council, you received an excellent presentation of the detailed and thoughtful work of the Quality of Life Citizens Committee that was appointed by the Council to study the various needs that we have across the city that we often think of under the broad heading of quality of life. The Council received the presentation from the committee that night, have been reflecting on that, and at the last meeting, you requested that it be placed on this agenda and brought back to you for your direction going forward. What I've asked Tammy Shreve to do, and Tammy, of course, is the lead staff person to that Citizens Committee, and I've asked Tammy to provide an abbreviated overview of the presentation that the committee members made to you 2 meetings ago. So, Tammy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to be the lead staff liaison to the Quality of Life Committee. The committee members were focused and committed to the challenge of identifying opportunities to enhance the quality of life in Peoria. The committee was led by former Mayor Keegan. Kirk Haynes served as the vice chair with Ava Osuna as the secretary. The committee comprised of 20 members and 3 alternates. They were selected by council members, and they represented all geographic areas of the city. During the council study session on June 7th, former Mayor Keegan, Kurt Haynes, and Kathy Sensman provided a detailed report of the committee's findings and recommendations. And for the viewing audience, a video of that presentation can be located on the city's website. As Mr. Swenson mentioned, I'm going to provide tonight just a summary of those findings and recommendations. My presentation will first outline the process the committee followed that led to the recommendations. It will identify the quality of life focus areas. It will discuss the financial considerations that were taken into account by the committee, and it will present the recommendations of the committee. And finally, I'll discuss the resolution that is before you tonight. The committee started meeting in January 2016. The meetings rotated throughout the city in an effort to make it easy for residents to attend and to voice their thoughts and opinions. Staff and committee members presented reports and documents related to the focus area to the committee members. Subject matter experts addressed the committee. We are fortunate to have an individual from Maricopa County and from Scottsdale to address the committee, as well as our own staff. They shared their expert knowledge and experience on the topic areas. By the third meeting, there was a significant attendance and participation in the meetings. From that point on, community members attended and expressed their ideas and thoughts on the different areas. The committee members heard approximately from 55 individuals. The committee reviewed the financial conditions and discussed the financial strategies to support quality of life projects. And after discussion, the committee agreed on specific projects for quality of life. But before I discuss those recommendations, I'd like to explain the reasoning why the committee felt those recommendations were important. And in doing so, I'd like to highlight the focus areas and the financial strategies that resulted in the recommendations that are before you tonight. The committee had 4 focus areas: public safety, open space preservation, active recreational facilities, and investing in our mature neighborhoods. When reviewing and discussing public safety in Peoria, the committee focused on the following. The safety of individuals in our community is paramount. They felt fortunate to have an excellent police and fire medical departments that serve our city. They supported interaction between our public safety departments and community members. This builds relationships, addresses common issues, and strengthens our community. The committee encouraged the use of force multipliers, which are small investments that make a significant positive impact in our community. And they recognize the need for public safety presence in our parks and trail system. High-profile sites like Lake Pleasant Regional Park, Peoria's Community Park, Mountain and Trails, at times need security and medical coverage. There was a level of excitement with the committee on the possibilities of preserving key open space corridors within our city. Emphasis was placed not only just on preserving our natural open space corridors, but also safeguarding our cultural assets that are located on these properties, improving public access to open space, and also maximizing property values. The committee members viewed our parks and open space as valuable and essential features of our community. Open space could be signature features like Camelback is to Phoenix, or McDowell Mountains is to Scottsdale. Peoria is fortunate to have vibrant open space land in the northern area. As mentioned at the June 7th study session, with the growth in northern Peoria, potential development of housing and businesses are quickly approaching our open space. Once the open space and mountain corridors are developed, there's no going back to the pristine natural state. Along with preserving open space, trailheads and trails are needed to ensure the public has access to this natural resource. And the committee also felt that promoting awareness and education about open space and its benefits was very important. Active recreation facilities was a point of pride with our committee. Cultural, educational, and recreation facilities like library, recreation centers, community centers enhance the quality of life in our community through education, health and welfare, social engagement. These facilities serve multi-generations, children, teens, adults, seniors. They are engines of economic activity in our community. And in Peoria, we have the good fortune to have outstanding recreational facilities that are actively used. The committee felt that recreational facilities needed to be available throughout the entire city. Our city is uniquely long from the north to the southern border. Convenient accessibility is needed throughout the city. During discussions, the committee expressed a sense of pride in our historic downtown. The committee would like to continue high standards of quality throughout our city. In the southern portion of the city, the committee identified areas that they felt were important to focus on: maintaining our historic downtown, enhancing the landscape on major streets, arterials, and arterials to create an impressive visual presence in our community. Community members heard from residents that about the need for shade at bus stops and high pedestrian locations. The committee took quite a bit of time to learn about the city's finances. They expressed appreciation that the city places an emphasis first on our core services. It was noted that the city has not had an increase in its sales tax or property tax rates in over 10 years. The city is the lowest tier of the city is in the lower tier of the property tax rates, as shown in this chart. We have $1.44 per 100 of assessed value. We have the lower sales tax rate comparably. In fact, we have the lowest sales tax rate in the valley. If you look at our rate, 1.8%. The city to our west, Surprise, is 2.2%, and the city to our east, Glendale, is 2.9%. The city's rates for water, wastewater, and solid waste services remain some of the lowest in the valley. What's interesting is other cities may be higher in one revenue area but lower in another, where Peoria is low in all these areas, meaning that our relative burden to residents remains low. A number of funding sources that were previously available to jurisdictions have literally dried up. For example, just looking at open space, these funding sources, the Arizona Heritage Fund, Growing Smarter allocations, special districts, open space impact fees are no longer available like they used to. The committee looked at other revenue options, including federal grants, partnerships with lands, and charitable trusts. The committee strongly recommends that the city pursue these opportunities. However, these grants and trust arrangements nevertheless require a local match to pay for land acquisitions and often are hard to find. That led the committee to looking at existing budgets and/or a dedicated new source. When we talk about a dedicated new source of revenue, it really comes from two possible areas: property tax or sales tax. When comparing these two sources, it was felt that sales taxes is a more preferred option. A sales tax can be spread among a number of economic activities. It doesn't place the full burden on Peoria residents, but instead on residents throughout the region that visit Peoria. The Quality of Life Committee is recommending the following: to proceed with the list of the identified projects that I'm going to address in just a few minutes, to support these projects with a 0.6 of a sales tax increase, and to obtain voter approval for the sales tax increase. The committee would like us to make every effort to maintain the same standards throughout the city and to include the goal of universal accessibility to projects. This is referring to going beyond the ADA standards for individuals with disabilities, and to explore partnerships with other governmental agencies and co-locate facilities where applicable. In regards to partnerships, potential partnerships, our school districts, and we have a really strong relationship with our school district, and we have for many, many years. But we could also look at private and public partnerships, not-for-profits. Possibly we could coordinate improvements, share costs, and find common interest. The Quality of Life is recommending the following projects. The committee is recommending a permanent fire station located on the west side of Lake Pleasant. This will notably improve the service deliveries to this area and also help serve State Route 74 emergency calls, which are usually very severe. The committee also recommends the purchase of 2 alternative response vehicles. These 2-person vehicles are an effective way to respond to medical emergency calls for service. The committee is recommending that 3 sworn community resource officers be hired. 2 of the officers would work with residents, community leaders, and business owners on special neighborhood and business-related issues. The 3rd community resource officer will focus on Peoria's senior resident issues. They would work closely with active adult residential communities, individuals, and assisted care facilities. And the committee also recommends the hiring of 4 park rangers that would provide a greater presence in our neighborhood parks and trails. These would be non-sworn officers. In regards to open space, the committee recommends that Sunrise Mountain, Cotterwood, and Prince Mountain focus areas become preserved open space. These areas are identified in our Sonoran Conservation Plan as high priorities for the city. It is also important to the committee to have accessibility to the open space so that it can be enjoyed by all of our residents. And the committee recommends mountain preserved trailheads and trails for the open space locations. A visitor cultural center is recommended. It would serve as a gathering location for the starting at trailheads and an education center for learning about open space and the rich cultural relevance that it provides. Trails are highly used and are an important recreational feature in our city. The committee recommends improvements to existing trails and also the development of the 4 new trails listed above. These 4 trails are located in North Peoria, and they would, these trails would provide additional approximately 16 miles of trails to the city. The committee is recommending a Northern Community Park Recreation Center. Rio Vista Recreation Center has been highly successful. It is well used by our residents. However, it can't effectively serve the growing part of the city in the north. And to give you an example, Rio Vista Recreation Center is the yellow dot on the bottom of the screen. The green dotted circle around it is your 5-mile radius to that facility. The proposed North Recreational Center is the yellow dot on the top of this screen. And again, the green dashed dots also show a 5-mile radius to that facility. So in essence, both regions of the city would have a recreation center. The committee is recommending a recreation facility similar to Rio Vista to be built at the Northern Community Center. The committee is recommending enhancing mature parks in the southern portion of the city with new equipment and amenities that could include playgrounds equipment and that could be enjoyed by all individuals with or without disabilities. A Quality of Life Committee is also recommending a North Community Center, similar to the community center that's located in Old Town Peoria. It's an important gathering place that serves a multitude of purposes for our residents. The recommendation proposes to take advantage of city-owned property near the Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Building, which was just being discussed. As the city continues to grow to the north portion, library facilities will be needed to serve our residents. A library is open to everyone. It's a portal to learning, to accessing books, resources, activities, open Wi-Fi, and computers. The committee recognized a demand in the West Valley for an indoor aquatics facility that could potentially support national, regional, or local swim events, as well as year-round leisure use and classes. Finally, the committee recommended projects related to neighborhood stabilization, such as Old Town improvements, shade structures, citywide streetscape enhancements on established major and arterial roads south of Bell. The committee also expressed interest outside the focus area that they wanted to relay to the council. These areas included addressing blight and deterioration in the odor areas of the community, and also to continue the efforts to broaden artistic activity throughout the city. The approval of the resolution before you tonight would do 3 things. 1, it will allow the city clerk to place the proposed sales tax increase of 0.6 cents on the November 8th ballot for consideration by the qualified voters. 2nd, it will propose changes to the city sales tax code that adjusts the city's transaction privilege tax by 0.6 cents across all classifications. And 3rd, under the proposed changes to the sales tax code, the revenues collected will be placed in a quality of life tax fund, which will be used solely for the purposes of the quality of life recommendations. Mayor and council, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you for summarizing the recommendations of the Quality of Life Citizens Committee, and it was fabulous that there were so many people so involved in this, not only the committee members, but all of the people who came in and took the time to express their feelings about quality of life as the city moves forward with its growth. And along those same lines, we have a number of citizens who would like to speak to this issue this evening. So I am going to start with those speaker request forms. And first of all of those of you who have requested to speak, I want to thank you for coming down here and being part of this public process. It is really meaningful to us, the City Council, as we move forward with these kind of decisions. We need to know what our citizens think and believe and feel about the future of our city. So when I call your name, you will be asked to come up here, and you will go to this podium over here and state your name and address for the record. There will be a clock over my right shoulder that will begin and show 3 minutes, and you will have that amount of time to speak. And with that, we will begin with our first speaker, Mr. Robert Hall.
My name is Robert Hall. My address is 10822 West El Cortez Place, Peoria. I'm a resident by choice since 2012. I was a member of this Quality of Life Committee and worked for over 5 months with this group, and I personally agree with all the recommendations that were made. Tonight I'd like to talk about 3 good reasons to accept this committee's recommendations. First, today is the best opportunity to take the necessary steps to guide Peoria's future development for the best possible outcome. Most of those archaeological and historical sites slated for protection under this plan simply will not be available for protection at a future date to the inevitable rush of development. A gentleman named Theodore Roosevelt said, "Conservation means development as much as it does protection. I recognize the right and duty of this generation to develop and use the natural resources of our land. I do not, however, recognize the right to waste them or to rob the generations to come by wasteful use." Secondly, the next reason to implement this plan now is that it will be a key to Peoria's development into the kind of place that good employers would like to make their home. A gentleman named Carl Gordano, who happens to be the president of the Silicon Valley Manufacturers Group, which is the very kind of companies we would like to attract here, said this: "The future economic success of the Silicon Valley will be contingent on whether or not we have a good quality of life. World-class workers will only want to come to world-class living conditions. High-tech employers recognize it will only be as successful as the employees we can attract. When it comes to all of our transportation, housing, and land use decisions, we don't view investments as tax and spend, but rather invest and prosper." And thirdly, adopting this quality of life plan will make Peoria an even better tourist destination. A gentleman named Arthur Fromer, who is a well-known travel industry author and the publisher of a number of best-selling travel guides, said this. He said, "Every study of travel motivations has shown that an interest in the achievements of the past is among the top 3 reasons why people travel. The other 2 are rest and recreation and the desire to view great sights. Among cities with no particular recreational appeal are those that have substantially preserved their past continue to enjoy tourism. Those that don't receive no tourism. It's simple as that. Tourism does not go to a city that has lost its soul." In summary, the question has been raised, when is the best time to plant a tree? And the answer given is 40 years ago. The question then is, when is the second best time to plant a tree? And the answer is today. Today is the very best time to embark on our future development plans by adopting the quality of life plan recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Ron Lisniak.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Ron Lisniak, and I lived at 18878 North 91st Drive in Westbrook Village. Recently, I'm looking for a home back there again, so I say recently, now I'm staying over in Mesa at this time. But anyway, I had the opportunity to serve on this committee, and much of what my thrust would, I'm an open space person, passive recreation. I think one of the worst mistakes a governmental entity can make is not being there ahead of time, but waiting until after development is in place and then having to come back in and destroy people's personal property by condemnation and things of that nature. I remember when our former mayor, Forgy, when discussion came up about 83rd and Bell, and should we acquire that land and for future development, and not everyone was supportive of that. And look at 83rd and Bell today. It speaks for itself. So I hope that the City Council will adopt these recommendations. I see that coincidentally, two of the items that we spoke about tonight, the police facility and the Northern Park, is already on the agenda. So that's great. I appreciate the opportunity of serving and look forward to future expansion here in Peoria, especially with a population to double in the next 20 years. Where we're at about 160,000 now and projecting over 300,000 in the future. You certainly need the amenities to go with that across the entire city, from Carlos District, Leone, Councilman Leone, and Councilperson Binsbacher. One's up north, one's south, but we need to go across the entire city and make these improvements. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, now we have Ms. Christine Rosales.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Christine Rosales. I reside at 12700 West Desert Mirage Drive up in the Vistancia Village community. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the Quality of Life Committee. As a citizen that was able to participate in that committee, I wanted to thank you for setting up that committee and inviting the citizens of Peoria to be participants. It's from that I was able to present to the committee a passion of mine, which is play for individuals with special needs, of all different kinds of special needs. I think it's an area that needs to be developed in this city, of accessible playgrounds, not just what the ADA recommends, but beyond that, in terms of the type of colors of the equipment, the type of material that's used for equipment, and the different types of equipment, because the opportunities for children to play is beyond just play. It's social skills, it's learning to navigate, it's learning to interact with others. And I think that if we create amenities that allow opportunities for individuals with special needs to play freely with their able-bodied peers, we again include in that play the opportunity to educate and to just really enhance the lives of all of our citizens, young and old. The nice thing about these playgrounds too is that they're accessible for our seniors to access the playgrounds with their grandchildren, and for our vets, which I think is very important. I know that one of the issues that some of our returning vets have is PTSD and separation anxieties, and this allows them to get out on those playgrounds and participate and play with their children and grandchildren, etc. So I think it's a really important amenity. I think it's something that Peoria, if we do this and we do it correctly, that our surrounding cities will follow. This has been a huge project and endeavor from a family in California where I started and learned about all of this, and they have now over 60 playgrounds built, and they're going worldwide. So I'm hoping that you strongly consider this opportunity for the students, the children of our community, as well as the rest of the population. I also want to mention that I am a special educator, and this is a passion of mine, and I think that part of my role is to be a voice. And so thank you for your time, and I really hope that you move this one ahead. It needs its time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. The next speaker request form is from Rafaelita Evangelista. Rafi.
I am Rafaelita Evangelista, and because my name is very difficult to pronounce, just call me Rafi. I think you'll be relieved to hear that. Well, when I first came to speak before the Committee of Quality of Life, I walked from 77th Street to where is that? Somewhere here. I think it's almost like a mile to walk. And I had to wear a newer pair of shoes because I don't know whom I would be meeting. No one told me. I didn't know it was a big one. And because it was a newer pair of shoes, I got blisters on my toes. Isn't it pitiful? Okay. Well, the reason why I'm here is because, first of all, we are homebodies. My son is blind and deaf, and we just stay home. We seldom take the bus. And when we do, we only go to the doctor's office. That's all. We walk all the time. We are like, who is that guy? Steve? I forgot. Okay, never mind. I forgot about it. But the thing is, as I take the bus, now I don't have blister in my toes because Mr. Hubbard picked me up from my house to here every time we have a meeting. He's kind and gracious enough to do that for me. But don't be deceived. He's also a sadist because he would only tell me that there would be a meeting on the day, and he would not tell me that I would be speaking in front of this august body. But anyway, thank you. When I take the bus, I would look around me, and I would see a plethora of people. Students who wants to be a good citizen to finish their studies. Mothers with children in tow, probably going to buy food for the family. Myself, who don't drive anymore, would go to the doctor by taking the bus. And old people, those who cannot drive for some reason, they take the bus. And I look around and I said, these people are good citizens. They pay their taxes. And how come they are not being taken care of very well by the people in the government? I have to do something about it. And wow, I got a flyer from the city water, from the bill. And it says there is a coffee with the mayor. I said, okay, I've got to see the mayor. I have to tell the mayor about this. And my son said, oh, don't be disappointed, politicians. I said, I'll try. I've got to try. So I went. The meeting was so quiet, and I was the last one to speak with the kind mayor, the mayor with a vision, the mayor who heard me, the mayor who is compassionate. And I hope the members of this council will be as good as the mayor. So when I spoke at the end of the meeting, people were standing, the chief of police, the chief of the fire department, they were all alert, listening to what I was saying. And I said, oh my God, I am making a scene here. But I didn't know that my meeting with her would be gave an impact. And suddenly I received emails left and right from the people of the city of Peoria telling me that there will be a meeting, that we will be talking to these people. And I said, and I never have any more blisters on my toes because I'm always being picked up by managers and this guy. Thank you so much. I hope that you would do something about the bus stops. I want a mini park for every bus stops. And this is not only for the bus riders. These are also for the people who would love to walk, but hate to walk because we have no shades enough for us to go around. We need mass planting of trees. If we have big parks, let's have mini parks for these people, for the people who take the bus. Thank you so much. I'm sure you will approve of it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jerry Johnson.
Council members mayor and council members and staff, my name is Jerry Johnson. I live at 19134 North 84th Drive in Westbrook Village. I am the vice president of the Homeowners Association in Westbrook Village, and also the government liaison person that represents the board of directors and that communication between the city of Peoria and our board, as well as vice versa. I bring back to them issues with the city and also do some convincing that way as well. So I take on that role. And I appreciate the opportunity that we have tonight for speaking to you. We have had many projects in Westbrook Village. Recently, the Country Club Union Hills drainage project. Certainly a quality of life improvement for Union Hills and that entrance of Westbrook Village on Country Club, and our wonderful atomic clock that we have there, and for all the village to see, one of a kind, in fact. Peoria is a diamond in the rough, or not a diamond in the rough, but a diamond in the valley of the sun, certainly a major influence in the West Valley. And we must look at the future and continue to improve upon what we already collectively have done and accomplished. And thanks to the mayor and the city council, where you've managed things so we're able to do that for all the residents of Peoria. And I am proud to live in the city of Peoria and often discuss how Peoria is one of the best, if not the best place to live in the valley. And as an example of that, the SALT conference that we just recently had within Westbrook Village, that's a public safety, certainly a quality of life program. And several members of our residents, of Westbrook Village attended that. And so many good comments came out of that I didn't know that's what the city of Peoria did on the public safety side. I didn't know that many departments and meeting all the people that were there. And I was very impressed with the comments from just that one SALT conference, which is, by the way, seniors and law enforcement together. means salt. The Quality of Life Citizens Committee has given outstanding input and recommendations, and I recently attended one of their meetings, and I was very, very impressed about the discussions, the projects, and the thought and the process that went into that. So now is the time to act on public safety, parks, recreation, open space, and investing in our neighborhoods. And many decisions are made in the city of Peoria for a lot of good reasons. However, this investment in the quality of life for the city of Peoria is the most critical and the most applicable for the citizens of Peoria. And if approved, as a result, the citizens of Peoria will receive a return on their investment in an ever-developing, step-by-step, methodical development to putting an exclamation point of who we are and what we are in the West Valley. So I encourage you to adopt Resolution 2016-91, the Quality of Life Citizens Committee recommendations. And again, I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chris Reed.
Hello, Mayor and members of council. My name is Chris Reed. I live at 12432 West Desert Mirage. I'm up in the Mesquite District. And I was not part of the committee, but as a citizen, I attended probably 80 to 90% of the actual meetings. And the first thing I want to say is my hat's off to the breadth of what was covered here. It's really amazing how they looked at so many aspects of quality of life. They looked at so many regions of this city that stretched so far, people of all different demographics and interests, and came up with a list that addresses a number of needs. Personally, I live in the far north area of the city. We have a couple of kids, and so we find ourselves frequently driving all the way down to Rio Vista, about 30 minutes each way to attend the city's different programs. And we're very excited with the potential of primarily the active recreation aspect of this in the north part of the city. I also very much feel strongly about the trails and open spaces, and just know how that can be an asset going forward for many, many years to come. One of the other things I wanted to talk about, I follow land development very closely, and just as you all know, the Northwest Valley is booming. The West Valley has finally surpassed the Southeast Valley, where that used to be where the growth was for decades in the past. And over the last year or so, the Northwest Valley primarily and the West Valley is surpassing that. There's tremendous growth in the area. As you all know, recently a couple of joint development agreements were approved that have created a way to bring water to the far Northwest Valley. So although Vistancia has been historically one of the top 20 master plan selling communities in the entire nation, that's also going to open up other master plans, Lake Pleasant Heights, Saddleback Heights, and just create more opportunity for growth there. So I would ask you to vote affirmatively to this measure, because it's going to allow you to stay ahead of that growth. It's going to allow you to continue to fund quality of life initiatives that will continue to make possible quality development in that area. Finally, I also appreciate the funding mechanism using sales tax as the measure. I think it was mentioned in Tammy's presentation, but it allows those that are coming to enjoy the quality of life in Peoria to help shoulder that burden. So it's not necessarily being put on just the property owners within the city, but those that are coming to use the quality of life are the ones that are going to pay for it. Those areas are going to be growing in value and in development in the future, are going to shoulder a growing percentage of that share. It just seems like a very appropriate way to fund ongoing development. So with all those things, I ask that you strongly consider this measure and vote yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hunter Clare.
Mayor, Council. My name is Hunter Clare. I live at 815 East Grovers Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. I work as the president of the Peoria Firefighters here, and we're here tonight to speak on why you should support moving the Citizens Quality of Life Committee initiative forward. There's three different reasons why. They base around increased public safety, increased community service, customer service, and increased family life. We've had the fire station and services at Lake Pleasant, Fire Station 199. Since 1994 and 1996, right in that range there, we started supplying all the fire suppression and medical services to that area. We did not get a temporary station at that location until 2002, and it's currently located on the east side of the lake, which is actually in an area that increases response times to where the most critical incidents tend to happen up there. This proposed plan will move forward with building a permanent station on the west side, which puts us closer to the 10-lane boat ramps, the camping sites, the off-road trails, the hiking trails, and more importantly, the highway. It gives us more access into the city, more access outside of the city, and more access to our visitors that come in to utilize the lake. So it would reduce those response times for all those major calls and increase the public safety up there. Along with the ARVs that are in there, that would increase the customer service that we currently provide right now with our fire medical service here to the citizens. So what that would do is it would create resources to be available, our 4-person paramedic fire trucks that go on different types of calls from cardiac arrest to stroke, difficulty breathing, drownings, and trauma calls. It would leave those units available to respond on those major emergencies that come up and give us other alternative response units that would have paramedics and EMTs on them that would be able to respond to some of the lower acuity calls, such as ankle sprains, broken fingers, check detectors, different things like that that come up that would leave our resources available for everybody else to respond to. So that would increase our customer service. Lastly, it's an increase in family life. I'm lucky enough to represent around 175 sworn firefighters here in the city. And out of those 175, 50% of our members live in the city of Peoria. They raise their families in the city of Peoria. And they partake in the parks, trails, libraries, these open spaces that we have going. And they look forward to these recreation areas. And we ask that you consider that when it comes into play. We're not just speaking to you as the firefighters that respond to the citizens that come here and look out for our visitors that come in here. We're asking you to move this forward because we live here, we raise our families here. This isn't just a place that we work. This is a place that we live, we love it, we believe those 6 block letters in that Peoria, and we hope that you'll consider moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Michelle Spalding.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Ooh, my voice projects. I am so excited about the recommendations that the Quality of Life Committee put forward. I had an opportunity also to speak that evening and share my personal experience. My husband and I are real estate agents that specialize up in the Northwest Valley, so our primary area is 85383. We have lived, loved, worked, and played in North Peoria since 2003. So we have literally watched the Mesquite District grow up around us, and it's been so exciting to watch. We've got 3 children that are 12, 10, and 3 years old. And we also, primarily, like I said, we do all of the 90% of our business is in North Peoria. So we not only represent people that already work in Peoria, but we oftentimes we work a lot with people that are relocating to the area. So we have a unique opportunity and privilege to sell Peoria and sell people on what it is we love about the city we live in. One of the services that we frequently offer to clients that are looking at relocating here from other states or other cities is we'll do a tour of the valley. And so in the course of one day, we can go from North Peoria down to Litchfield Park, over to the East Valley, up to North Scottsdale, and overwhelming, the resounding feeling is that Peoria offers something really unique that I think that the committee and the Quality of Life Initiative touches on preserving. And one of those is our open space. It's the fact that some of our subdivisions up there literally have walking, hiking, and biking trails out their front door. We have a beautiful mountain backdrop around us. That is one of the main selling features of the city that we live in, and we need to preserve that. It is a major asset, and it's one of the main reasons that people buy in Peoria and are willing to drive 45 to 50 minutes to work for the privilege of living in our city. Not only that, but I am ready to get my shovel and start breaking ground myself on the North Community Park, because one of the things that it offers that is so lacking up in this part of the city that is growing and staying ahead of that growth curve is critical, is people are craving a sense of community, and we're craving a place to gather, and right now that's broken up, and a lot of that is being distributed to other cities around. Personally, we call it our Wednesday night madness. It's divide and conquer. I go out to City of Surprise, where we use their aquatics facility. My husband drives to Cave Creek, where we use their soccer fields, because there is no facilities that are nearby. You heard another gentleman speak to the fact that Rio Vista is 30 minutes away from the citizens that are up in North Peoria. So having this facility there makes that organic sense of community that not only ourselves as realtors and community members, but all of those clients that we represent, that we're helping to sell the city of Peoria on, that's what they're looking for and craving. And I think that this achieves all of that. So I would love to see a yes vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Mr. David Everhart.
Hi, Mayor, Council. My name is David Eberhardt. I live at 6801 West Astor Drive in, I'm not sure which district, southeast part of Peoria. I really want to thank staff and the committee for all the hard work they did. It's not easy being, coming to the council and recommend a sales tax increase. But I'm sure they spend a lot of time distilling out the wheat from the chaff and selecting the most important projects. I know how much my family uses both Rio Vista Park and the new Pioneer Park almost every weekend. The splash pad is wonderful. So in the new park, if you could build 2 of them, it would be, it would be great. My 5-year-old grandson loves them. But I want to recommend the council move forward with this proposal. It's hard to recommend a sales tax, but if they've really done a good job of selecting the projects, I'm confident in November the voters will approve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kathy Senseman.
Hi, thank you. Kathy Senseman. I live at 9366 West Robin Lane in Peoria, up north. We've only lived there a year. Prior to that, we spent almost 20 years in Councilmember Finn's district. So we kind of had that sense of north and south kind of perspective during the council, and I appreciate the opportunity to present it to you earlier. I won't go into what everyone else said, but I think you heard loud and clear that we had great input. There was just overwhelming support for what we were doing and for the project and for having a vision for the future and being bold in thinking about that. One of the things I want to share that was really impactful to me was where we stood kind of in the West Valley and, you know, kind of in the region from a tax perspective. And it just goes to show what I already knew, which is City of Peoria is a really well-run city. And seeing where we stood kind of in the region showed that we have the ability to grow and to grow responsibly. We've seen what some of our neighbors have done to grow irresponsibly and kind of the mess they're in and the mess they're going to be in for the next 20 years or more getting out of it. We're not in that situation, and I think we have an amazing ability to plan for the future. One of the things, going back to the North and South, you know, one of the things that we spent a particular amount of time talking about and exploring was the continuity of services, of making sure that we had same facilities or like facilities to accommodate residents in the North as we do in the South. And we're in a unique situation where the South, where I lived before, we were able to take advantage of a lot of the things that we can't take advantage anymore from a tax perspective or a development fee or even money coming from the state that was there before to plan for smart growth. And so the only way we can have those like services and continue to plan, and I think be visionary for what we're going to look like in 20 years and 40 years, is to approve this item as was recommended. I think there will be overwhelming support. I know anecdotally when I've talked to our friends that live in Peoria, everything that you heard from these folks of having to drive places, having to drive down to Rio Vista, not having aquatics, not having seniors. And as someone that lives in a multi-generational household now, we moved my mother-in-law in, having senior services up north, let me tell you, really important. And when we were moving into our home, the new home, Meritage were telling us that like 1 in 4 houses they're selling up there are multi-generational housing. And so planning for that senior and all you baby boomers that are retiring soon, to have those facilities like you have in the South, I think is incredibly important to how people perceive Peoria and how we grow responsibly. And I think there's a very responsible plan in front of you that I would strongly encourage you to support today, and I humbly ask for you to support that. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and last but not least, Clay Alsop.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Clay Alsop. My address is 9043 West Iona Way in Peoria. I live in the West Wing community. I also had the privilege of serving on the Quality of Life Committee. And during the process of serving on that committee, I was impressed with the responsiveness of city staff and the committee to respond to the needs of the public as they came to address what their concerns were for future growth in Peoria. And by the end of our process of serving there about a month ago, I concluded that the recommendations we made were well vetted and that they were sound, and it was a good investment for the future of Peoria. I personally work in the home building industry, and I have seen the value of open space preservation and know that that will be a positive influence for generations for the city of Peoria. And for these reasons, I am voicing my support of this motion, and thank you for this opportunity to address you tonight.
Thank you. Wow. I certainly appreciate all of your input, and thank you for taking the time not only to come down here and talk to us today, but for going to the Citizens Committee for Quality of Life and making your voices heard there as well. This has been certainly a citizen-driven initiative from the very beginning, and I cannot tell you how much that means to your city council to know where our citizens stand. So with that, I am going to now open this up to our city council and start with some discussion. Council members, comments?
I'll start. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Tammy, can you bring up the public safety piece of your presentation, if you don't mind?
You bet. The recommendation?
Yes, the recommendation. Thank you.
You bet. Almost there.
I'm sure it's probably at the very beginning.
There we go.
Yeah,
Police, and we have one for fire.
That'll work. So, I think the first comment that I want to make is it's obvious that the residents of Peoria value the services, the core services that we as the city council and the city provide. I've heard it time and time again here this evening, and also in out talking with residents, how much they appreciate the fire and the police department and everything they do to put their lives on the line to protect our citizens. And so I think part of the recommendation was for the community resource officers, some additional resource officers, is that correct? I'd like to explore that a little bit. I think that the recommendation that's in front of us doesn't go far enough. Because of the fact that we have a growing city, we've said it time and time again that we've only built out about half of our city and we have the other half to build. I think it's incumbent upon us to go a little bit above what we need, what we've got right now, and plan for the future. We have an obligation to continue with the core services and to expand on those core services that we provide, not only to the existing residents, but to our future residents. And I think we have an opportunity right now to expand on that. And I think if we don't do it now, we're going to kick ourselves later that we didn't fund it further. And so my recommendation is, I believe we have currently 3 officers in that.
That's correct, 3 sworn community service officers.
Okay, I'd like to make the recommendation, or let staff look at increasing that, Mayor, to 5, if possible. Because again, I think that's a key element. We have the opportunity. Let's look at that at that opportunity right now.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Finn.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to say I support what John just said as well. I think that's a very, very good point, very valid point. This is the opportunity to do something with that. Could we just go to the, I don't think you really had a slide or detail on it, but I think you made a comment about streetscape and arterial road improvements.
That's correct.
Okay, can we touch on that just a little bit? Because I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what is in our existing capital plan budget for road improvements and the streetscape. I really support the streetscape and improving that, especially in the southern part of the city. I think we need that significantly, but I want to make sure that we're kind of clear on what we're talking about being included in there. Is it solely streetscape, or are there road improvements that we're looking at, like expanding? That's not included in this, correct? That's in a different budget and capital plan, is that correct?
In this particular proposal, it would include raised mediums as well as vegetation on the right-of-ways, so improved vegetation. Okay. Yes.
Okay. And then if I could, I'd like to just make a few other comments, if you don't mind. I wanted to just reiterate the fact that these are separate funds, and what comes into this fund would be allocated for. I just want to reiterate that for everyone, that would be designated for these quality of life improvements, correct?
That is correct. That is what would be written in the ordinance. That would become the law if this is approved.
Okay. And the partnering with the government agencies, I love that part. I really encourage the staff to explore opportunities where we can get a bigger bang for the buck for our taxpayer dollars. If we could partner somehow with those agencies to kind of make this work. So I think that's, have a few closing comments, but I'll do those at the end.
Okay. All right, so just for clarification, you are, you talked about streetscapes, you're wanting that to be the streetscapes and not necessarily the road improvements that might be included in our transportation budget or CAP.
Somehow you said it much better than I did, yes.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank all of the citizens that came here this evening to speak on behalf of your respective areas and communities and needs. Very, very important to this process. So thank you for that. I too support going from 3 to 5. We just talked about putting $11.8 million into the Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Facility expansion. So now's the time. We have the space, and this is about getting ahead of the growth and posturing ourselves for that. And of course, public safety is at the top of the priority list. I also want to touch on a fire station at Lake Pleasant. Hunter talked about being out there for 100 years now. We have, and still in a temporary structure, over 800,000 people go to that lake now every year. I don't know how many went back then, but a lot more, I'm sure, are there today than were then. And so the task of servicing that area and responding to those calls in that challenging environment it's unbelievable. And they're doing amazing things with what they have to work with. But by adding this fire station in a better location will reduce our response times. The alternate response vehicles will change how we use our equipment more effectively, more cost effectively, not just in the lake, but again, as he mentioned, State Route 74, where some of the worst traffic accidents occur, in some cases that we never even hear about, that they're having to respond to. And to take it a step further, we have a fire station in Vistancia, we have one on Jomax, and when we have to pull, we get those bad accidents, we have to pull from all of our resources. It trickles further down into the community. So we have to pull from Vistancia, we're pulling from Jomax. That takes those crews away from being available in those areas, and it's a trickle-down effect. So this is going to positively impact the service that we provide way beyond, further south of just the Lake Pleasant area. So it's very important to reducing our response time and providing the best possible service that we can, and again, getting ahead of the growth. But at Lake Pleasant, the growth is already happening. It's unbelievable. Another thing I want to talk about, there's so much to talk about. For the last 3 years, I have been talking with constituents, with residents, and hearing their concerns, their needs, and what they want in North Peoria, and they have been waiting a long time. Aquatics, in addition to the park, is a very specific need. And I have been to these events. I was just at one not long ago, and there's hundreds of kids at the pool, and the use of the community pool, and not enough parking and not enough shade, and residents in the area not happy because they can't use the pool during that time that those swim meets are going on. It's, again, it just kind of a snowball as to how that impacts the community. We all want those programs there. We want them to continue. We want them to grow, but we just can't accommodate them right now. And again, a regulation pool and shade indoors would be fantastic, and adequate parking are key to that particular program. But again, I want to talk about identifying needs. We don't necessarily need an aquatic center where we can, host the next Summer Olympics. We want to be aware of meeting the specific needs that exist in our city and building to that specifically. So I just want to recommend that we look at the costs associated with that particular project, and are we making the most of those dollars? Is that something that we can scale back? The library. Again, I hear about community services for seniors, for families. We're spending time and money traveling to the southern part of Peoria, to Rio Vista, to other cities to participate in these programs. That is a given. The citizens have spoken loud and clear. We absolutely need that. They enjoy a library. It's not as critical as some of these other things, though it's important to our quality of life, I agree. But would it be possible to work that into the recreation center? If we're going to build a recreation center, can we do it with the idea that we would work in a library? So maybe it wouldn't be another Sunrise Mountain Library, but it would be a library that would serve the needs out there, and maybe we could expand that down the road as the need presents itself. I think I'll stop there, though I may be back for more.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Patena.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to address the Quality of Life Committee's issue on neighborhood parks and amenities, if I could. You often heard me talk about the life cycle of neighborhoods, which is about 25 years before they typically go into transition. And it's important, I think, to make sure we deal with that stuff so that we can keep the property values up in all of our city. I recently talked with John Sefton about the life cycle of a playground. And life cycle of a playground in a perfect world is about 10 years. In Peoria, we refresh those parks about once every 15 years. So if you were a 5-year-old, the next time you'd use our park, when it would be refreshed, you'd be 20. And I'm assuming you would no longer be using our playgrounds. So we would need to refresh our playgrounds to meet the needs of an entirely new generation. As an example, the park behind the Sunrise Mountain Library is completely different than any other park I've ever seen. It's got different colors, and it has all kinds of ropes. The apparatus is different, and I asked John Sefton, why is this park different? And he said to me, the whole concept behind this park is they designed it to develop the core of the children that are playing on that equipment. So science has definitely gotten involved in how children play. And as a city, I think we need to stay current with our playground equipment. And another issue that I want to talk about, there was a word made popular in the late 80s and the early 90s, and it was called mainstreaming. And what that meant was the schools determined that mainstreaming would be used for disabled children and adults, and they would put them, the disabled children, in classrooms with the non-disabled children. And what they found through research was that the development of the disabled children was actually moved up faster than if they would be in classes with all disabled children. And so I think it's time that we look at making our parks and our playground equipment available to the disabled population. We need to develop them so that we don't have our disabled children who might be confined to a wheelchair, who might have cerebral palsy, who might be developmentally delayed. The one thing we don't want is to have them sitting on the side watching, because then they're viewed as different. And the one thing we don't want them to endure any longer is being different. There's not only physical skills that are developed by the disabled population, but there's also many social skills that can be learned in our playground. So my recommendation, Mayor, to the committee is that we develop a fully functional park in the south and in the north for the disabled as well as the non-disabled population.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Hunt?
I have a question for Bill. In the south, where we already have parks, are you saying one of those would be revamped?
Yes.
To be that, we wouldn't be building a new park?
A retrofit.
Okay, that's great, thank you. Well, again, I know you guys have been thanked, but we can't thank you enough. Those of you that gave so many months to the Quality of Life Committee, you listened to people, and you've just given us amazing ideas. And one thing that I really learned from this, I knew it already, I guess, but it really stood out, was that we do have some pretty good stuff here in South Peoria. We have the newest community park, and it is the busiest in the city by far. It's overcrowded sometimes, I think. But it's an amazing amenity for what has traditionally been a very underserved population down here. The other thing is our revamped community center, and that hits another whole population. It actually hits a lot of populations, but if you want to see some really happy senior adults, go in there around noon, any weekday, and they are laughing and eating, and I mean, what's happier than eating, right? And especially eating with a group of friends that you meet there every day. And then you move over to the bingo, and it's just a very, very happy place. And with exercise equipment and all that's there, it's really multifunctional. And so for that, I'm really grateful. I don't want you to think it happened overnight, though. It was a number of years coming on the park, as well as the revamping of the community center. So but we're still very, very happy to have those. And likewise, I think it's time that these same amenities are given to the north. Just because we're down here doesn't mean we don't want you guys to have it up there. We do. And we enjoy it so much down here. And as I say, it's been a long time coming. So I hope that this quality of life initiative moves some things forward for the people up north. We've said so many times that it's our responsibility now to first vision and then to help bring about the second half, the growth of the second half of our city. And it will probably be much faster. Gosh, John, if what was the quote, 25 years for a community? These communities down here they've gone through about 4 life cycles, a lot of them. They are original communities. And so to add on to what Mike Finn said, is that we really do need, we have these major nice amenities, but we need streetscapes. We need pedestrian shade access. Those are the things we need. They're not as monumental as an aquatic center or a park. We have the park, and we have some other nice, really very nice neighborhood parks as well. But we need the things, we need the landscaping and all that makes an area lush and that makes it feel like a place that you want to come home to, not just dry, barren, dirt-covered sides. And someone said it might have been Rafi, and I see Hubbard has saved her toes by driving her home already. She may have said it, that it's not fun to walk on the sidewalks down here because it's hot. It's just hot, and it's bare, and there's nothing to look at. So those are some things we really need down here. I think probably closest to my passion part of my heart, I'm an Arizona native, and one of, I guess, a minority that were born here. And so I've grown up not only enjoying the beauty of the desert, actually enjoying the beauty of our farmlands. And what's happened to the farmlands is that they've been gobbled up by development. And in the 1960s, when I was a young adult, I remember, especially my parents brought it to my attention that they were very sad that there was housing starting on Camelback Mountain, the base of Camelback Mountain, and moving around the mountain. And the Phoenix City Council at that time they weren't proactive like we're trying to be, but at least they jumped on it really quickly when they saw that people with money who could build there wanted to build there. They wanted the views of the Valley of the Sun. And so that's why you have development part way up Camelback Mountain. I'd really like to see us, it's not a do-over. You can't say, oops, we let that subdivision come in. Well, let's just make them go away. This is our one and only chance to save that pristine, whether it's the desert or the mountains, whatever that is up there, whatever type of geographical formations. And that includes some archaeological things as well. This is the only chance because some of those have already been eyeballed by developers. They already have land plats on them. And if we don't get those so that we can control them, they will be gone. Not just for us, but forever and ever and ever, future generations. So this is a one-time opportunity to really do the right thing. I guess that's really all the points that I wanted to make that came to me out of this. I do just want to say, we make reference to North Peoria and South Peoria. We are just Peoria. We're just Peoria, and we want to be unified. We are a strange geographical configuration. We're long and skinny, but we're still one city, and what's good for the north is good for the south, and what's good for us down here is good for what's up north. So I think as the voters look at this, I also wanted to make another point, that we are recommending this, I think, with maybe some changes, but we're not saying this is the way it's going to be. That's up to the voters. It's your city, and it's our job to be visionary and to plan and to organize, which we've done with this amazing committee, and to see what's out there, to see what you want. It's up to you to vote for it. It's your city. You have to decide, do I want to live with or without these amenities? And you will be voting to pay for it. It's been a very long time since we've raised taxes here, and we are not raising the taxes because that's not our job. You get to say that we're willing to pay for what we want to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Leone.
Yes, thank you. First thing I want to say is that I want to say hello to Mr. Eberhard. I haven't seen him for 100 years, and I remember when he was a state senator. I was at the House. He was one of them that I know. Anyway, I just want to congratulate the committee on this that they were on for the committee. I forget what I want to say. But anyway, I think they did a good job. I went to 2 of the meetings, and I know they spent a lot of hours working on this. And I just want to congratulate them for doing a great job, and hopefully everything turns out okay for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, this is an interesting job. I have heard a lot of great points here. My primary job here is to protect the taxpayers. And I have great concerns about the prospect of a tax increase, whether it's a sales tax increase or any tax increase. And, you know, I want the citizens to be able to keep their hard-earned money in their pockets. And I have said time and time and again that I want to keep taxes low. That being said, everything that has been brought forward tonight has been expressed to me over and over and over again by citizens in my district and throughout Peoria. We're ready for so much of this. I want to consider all of the things the great points that the council has made. One other thing, quickly, the Visitor and Cultural Center. Again, we have rich history, culture that we want to share and we want to educate people on. I think that that's an item we could scratch from this list altogether. I think that there are so many people that have expressed an interest in being part of this process that we could partner with them to be able to cover the expense of something like that down the road. And staff we have a great staff, and they have proven through some of the most challenging economic times that they can do more with less and get very creative in working within our means and with what we have. And so I would like to propose, and again, this goes to a public vote. This ultimately is for the citizens to decide, but I would like to recommend that we go from a 6/10 to a 4/10 and work within that amount. Silence, that's all I have.
Okay. Are there any other comments? I'm going to I'm going to attempt to summarize everything that we have heard and try to make this organized before we take a vote. Before I do that, I do just want to express again my gratitude to the citizens of Peoria who got very involved and who decided that they care about the future of our city and that they want to take part in what that future looks like, not only for themselves right now, but for their children and their grandchildren. I mean, it just says so much about the quality of the citizens that we have here. And you can tell by all of the people who came down here this evening and took the time out of their evening to make comments about this. We've got an incredible group of citizens. They're intelligent, they're engaged, they care, and they know when we need something, and they know when they need to tell us that they need something. And so I think that we need to listen to them and take them seriously. And so having said that, I now am going to try to summarize sort of where we are at this point in the project. So we have had requests to add 2 more police officers, increasing that sworn officer column from 3 to 5. The aquatics facility, scale that back. Combine the library with the recreation center in the community park. Add accessibility to parks in the north and the south, at least 1 in each. It's called universal accessibility. Remove road projects from streetscape improvements because those projects should be in our transportation or CIP budget. Remove the cultural center from the project list and look for ways to partner with others on that particular project. Doing all of those things and then reducing the sales tax recommendation from 0.6 cents to 0.4 cents. And send this to the ballot for the Peoria citizens to vote on and decide themselves in November. So in addition to these things, I think the recommendations from the Citizens Committee included us looking for ways to partner with other entities, organizations, BLM, state land, any ways that we can do that. We want to make sure that that is a part of this formally. And then create a specific fund where the revenues from this tax will be held specifically and only for these projects, as well as the ongoing costs for these projects. In other words, these will not be mixed in our general fund, and they will be held specifically for their life cycle for the term in this specific fund. Council, did I miss anything? Yes, Councilmember Finn.
I just wanted to kind of put that together just a little bit, because I think, you know, we didn't really have a whole lot of discussion on 0.6 versus 5 versus 4, and I think what we're saying, I think, with the silence and not much comments, I think what we're saying is we'd like for staff to look at this, and I feel much more comfortable with 4/10 and 6/10 personally. I like to try and keep taxes as low as possible as well. I agree 100% about that. So we're asking staff to really kind of, like you to get to have this work with the 4/10 and try and value engineer some things, partnership, scale some things down. I mean, even the cultural center, if it could be combined into something else on a much smaller scale, we just want to try and be at that 4/10. Is that, I just thought maybe I'd get some consensus on if that's where we're at.
The Citizens Committee was given a choice of, you know, from 4 to 6/10,
right.
Because that was kind of where these projects lie, and we are wanting to make sure that it is at the 4/10 instead of the 6/10 there. I would also like to make a comment about sales tax. We are not talking about property tax here. We are talking about sales tax, and one of the reasons that I think that sales tax is a better choice is because we have the ability to spread that tax evenly around. So we've got 240,000 people who come to visit the city of Peoria for spring training, and about 60% of those people are from out of the city, out of the valley even. So those people are, I'm sure, very happy to be able to contribute to our sales tax revenue fund to help fund these projects for our citizens, our residents. And so that's one of the reasons why I really think sales tax is great. It helps keep that low for our citizens.
I agree 100%. I just want to make one more comment, if I could. Obviously, we're going to have to get language written for the ballot to get out there. I'd like to request that that language be as specific as we can be with that language, because I really want the voters to understand what's happening with this money. I want to try and be as clear as we possibly can what the plans are with the money so that they understand what we're trying to do.
Okay.
I'm sure you would do that anyways, I just feel better saying it.
All right.
I'm going to turn my microphone off.
Okay. So
You're welcome.
With that, the things that I just summarized are the amendment to the citizens' recommendation. And with that, I am going to call for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and in this case, we have to take a roll call vote. So we will vote verbally. Ask our city clerk to direct us.
Mayor, this is Steve. Can I just interrupt, because I want to make sure for Ms. Jerminski's perspective, she's clear on what you're voting on. So the agenda item was to adopt Resolution 2016-91, which has all of these amendments to the sales tax provisions in addition to the call to the ballot so that the voters could decide whether to amend the various sales tax provisions. So is that the amendment that you're looking to make tonight, or is that the motion you're looking forward to going forward with at this point? To have the resolution?
The motion that I'm looking to move forward with is that resolution that was presented to us with the changes and comments and deletions and combinations that our council made that I summarized just a moment ago.
Okay.
Would you like me to summarize them again? No, she has it for the record.
Okay, it just, so it's clear, the sales tax change and the increase of 0.6% is in the resolution. With your motion, you can clarify that that's going to be 0.4, and that'll change throughout the resolution. That's fine. Some of the other, actually most of the other items you mentioned are not specified in the resolution itself. The implementation of the various projects is something that we can work with staff later on when we get to that point, but we don't go into that level of detail. We do, however, to address Councilmember Finn's point, on page 11 of the resolution, which is the section that identifies this new quality of life tax fund. There is a specific list of items or categories of items that it can be used for, and then in subsection C, to address Councilmember Finn's point, that these taxes that are brought in can only be used for purposes of the fund. So that's written in the resolution that is before you tonight.
Good. Perfect. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Councilmember Patena.
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher.
Yes.
Councilmember Finn.
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt.
Yes.
Councilmember Leone.
Yes.
Mayor Carlet.
Yes. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. And thanks again to the Citizens Committee and everyone who came here this evening. Appreciate it. All right, we will now move on to the next item on our agenda, item 21R, Council Youth Liaison appointment for Sam Owen.
I think the city clerk wanted to introduce this item. Brenda?
Mayor and Council, both agenda items 21R and 22R are requests to appoint our new council youth liaisons. Council youth liaisons are considered youth ex officio members to council and they sit at the dais with the council during meetings and represent the youth in our city. Both Sam Owen and Caitlin Edwards have been recommended for appointment by the council, boards and commissions subcommittee. The recommendation is that the council adopt the resolutions appointing the council youth liaisons in 2 separate votes. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, so council will take item number 21R first. This is the appointment of council youth liaison, Sam Owen, for a term to expire May 2017. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, council, please vote. And that passes unanimously. Congratulations to Mr. Sam Owen. And the next item is 22R. This is council youth liaison appointment for Caitlin Edwards.
Mayor, may
Yes.
I ask to be recused from this proceeding for this vote?
Yes, please. All right, so this is Caitlin Edwards for a term to expire May 2017. Council, are there any questions? Discussion? Do you have a motion?
Second.
Council, please vote. And that passes unanimously with 1 abstention. Congratulations to Ms. Caitlin Edwards. Next item is call to the public for non-agenda items, and I do have one request to speak from Mr. James Dibler. Mr. Dibler? All right. So then we will move on to reports from city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Carlin. Several brief reports under my report this evening. First of all, I want to just commend the council, though, on the discussion you just had on the Quality of Life Initiative. It was a complicated set of recommendations that you received from the Citizens Committee, and I think you're to be commended the way you worked through that and came to a unanimous consensus to move that forward. So congratulations.
Thank you.
A couple of notes from the consent agenda that you approved a little bit ago that I don't want to go unnoticed. There are 2 new directors within the city that were on the consent agenda. And the first, of course, is Jen Stein, our new communications director. Jen's in the back row there. Jen, you can wave to everybody. I won't embarrass you too much here. Jen has been with the city for about 2.5 years. She has a bachelor's degree in public relations from Northern Arizona University and a great experience as a communication specialist and expert. She spent several years with the city of Glendale as their communications manager. Before that was a producer with KTVK News Channel 3 and also had worked in public relations in the marketing and communications field. So congratulations, Jen. We can applaud now. And the second director that was confirmed by the council this evening is Katie Gregory. Of course, Katie is our new management and budget director. We're reinstating that department that we reorganized and changed during the downturn. We're now able to bring that back, and I'm very pleased that Katie will be the director of that department. Katie has been with the city for 11 years. She has a bachelor's degree from Western Oregon University and a master's degree in public administration from Arizona State University. Just a few highlights from her 11-year career here. She was the Deputy Finance and Budget Director, and that's where the council is most accustomed to seeing her recently. Before that was the Interim Budget Director. Before that, Strategic Support Coordinator and Budget Coordinator, Development Agreement Coordinator, Budget Analyst, and Management Analyst. And we're very happy to be able to promote you to the Director position, Katie. So now a little more lengthy report, and that'll be from our police chief, Roy Minter. And each year around this time in June or July, we tend to have a presentation from the police chief on our 2014-2015 crime statistics. That is each year. We do it about this time. So this year it's 14 and 15. And Chief Minter has a brief presentation and an opportunity for council to ask questions of the chief regarding our crime statistics. Roy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Swenson. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor and Council, as you are aware, the safety and security of our community is and has always been a top priority for the men and women of the Peoria Police Department. We pride ourselves on reducing crime and the fear of crime in our community, and our approach of policing clearly emphasizes this commitment. When we talk about our approach, we talk about three main areas that we really focus in on. Of course, we've talked a lot about community partnerships and going out and building those partnerships in the community and using the community as our partners and our eyes and ears out in the community. We talk about our predictive policing program and being proactive as opposed to being reactive when it comes to addressing crime issues in our community. And we also talk about the prudent use of technology. And I'm going to touch on that real quick, kind of do a brief commercial for us. We have talked about a couple of programs that we rolled out recently. Some of you may remember our presentation on Project SafeCam that is encouraging our citizens that have cameras in and around their homes or their businesses to sign up via our database, and that way if we have a crime incident that occurs in that area, we're able to go into our database and see if there are any cameras in that area. We're proud of the fact that we've had 2 agencies recently come over to Peoria to kind of view our SafeCam program, and both those were the cities of Scottsdale and Phoenix. And we usually don't hear that a lot for cities that are much larger than us to come over and look at our technology programs. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly is I sent an email to you recently about body-worn cameras and the fact that all officers and supervisors now who are assigned to patrol are also assigned body-worn cameras. The other one real briefly, and this one just happened today, and I don't think IT knows that they're missing a computer out of their offices yet, but our laptop computers that are in the cars, they have about a 3-year life cycle. We started planning about 2 years ago for the future of what we're looking at from a law enforcement perspective as far as mobility in our police vehicles. One of the things that we've looked at, and we're proud to have one today, is we're moving away from the laptop computers. Officers will soon be issued tablets. The really convenient thing about these tablets is, number one, they're light. The officers can carry them with them. They'll also be mounted inside the cars, and they can take them out. They have a front-facing camera and a rear-facing camera, so they'll be able to record. They also have scanners on them, so this will also not only be a computer for the officers, this will be a mobile ticket writer also for the officers. So this is the next step in technology that we're going to be moving to in the very near future. We only have 2 of these right now that we're testing right now, but I just wanted to let you know that we're continuing with the prudent use of technology as far as the department, and continue to be a leader in the area of technology. The other thing we want to talk about, we're very proud of the work that the men and women of the Peoria Police Department put in as far as keeping our community safe. One of the things that we've talked about is the importance of not only addressing crime and reducing crime, but also addressing the fear of crime in the communities. Over the past 5 years, we're proud of the fact that the city has realized a downward trend in crime. For example, major crimes, and we're looking at major crimes per 1,000 residents, in the city of Peoria have fallen 32% since 2011. Also, in the past year, crimes per 1,000 residents increased only by 1.28% from 2014 to 2015. Also, the latest monthly crime numbers, and we're talking about May, we don't have June's in yet, we're talking about May of 2016, show a 6.4% decrease in overall crime from the previous month. Some of you may remember about 2.5 years ago, we joined a group called the Benchmark Cities Group. It's a group of about 30 cities, and we get together, 30 cities of comparable size. We get together on an annual basis, and we compare crime data, hiring, a bunch of additional information, and we put out a report on an annual basis. Our preliminary Benchmark Cities report shows that our overall crime rate of 22.4% is far below the average for all the benchmark cities, which is 30.4%. It's also looking at the preliminary figures for the cities in the Phoenix metro area. It looks like we're also continuing to be very low, and we're about the third lowest in crime rate amongst the Phoenix metro cities. So we're very, very proud of that, and we're very proud of what we continue to accomplish on an everyday basis. Now, going forward, we look at how do we do this, and we're very proud of our crime reduction initiatives. Of course, we talked about intelligence-led policing and our predictive policing program that we currently have in place with Hunch Lab. But it's also about making sure that we aggressively stay on top of any crime-related matters before they become serious matters in the community. That's the reason why every Wednesday at 3:30 we have a weekly problem-solving meeting with the lieutenants and the sergeants and the commanders and the deputy chiefs, and we go over crime on a 7-day cycle to make sure we're staying on top of crime. We also have our monthly, what we call our CARE meetings. CARE stands for Crime Awareness and Response Evaluation meetings, where we go over crime on a 28-day cycle. And that's where the commanders come in and give their presentations, and we want to make sure that they're not only aware of crime incidents that are occurring in their areas, but we also want to make sure that they've addressed it and they have a plan for addressing any potential future crimes that may occur in the area. Then, of course, our strong partnerships with our municipal, county, state, federal agencies. We work very well with our neighboring cities, but we also have a representative from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, and we also have representatives from probation and parole who sit in on our monthly meetings and attend and assist us with our crime reduction initiatives. And then, of course, the hard work and the dedication that the members of the Peoria Police Department put in every day with their continued hard work. Some of them are sitting back there in the back. I assume they're still awake. They had a pretty long weekend and a pretty long night last night. But we're very, very proud of what we have and continue to accomplish in our communities and keeping our communities safe. We always like to remind council of some great accomplishments by members of the department. We are, of course, the CALEA Gold Standard Agency, and still one of only 2 agencies in the entire state that's been certified by CALEA as a Gold Standard Agency. And then a couple of recent awards. Next week, you'll see right there, Officer Dave Fernandez will be awarded the 2016 School Resource Officer of the Year Award in Anaheim, California. Also at that same conference, the department will receive the 2016 Model School Resource Program Agency Award, and we'll be one of only 5 agencies nationwide to receive that award. So we're very, very proud of the accomplishments of the department and very proud of the accomplishments of several individuals in the department. And with that, I will address any questions that council has regarding my presentation.
Thank you. What a great presentation. Council, any comments?
I do.
Ms. Hunt?
Chief, you were kind enough to answer this privately to me in an email, but I'd like to have you share our predictive policing is very, very new. And what I had asked was, are there any examples yet of how it's worked? So would you like to share that with everyone?
Well, sure, Mayor and Councilmember Hunt, you're very right. It's still new. We're only about 6 months into it, but we've seen a couple of success stories. One where an officer was stationed in an area and he contacted somebody who had a warrant out for their arrest. And I believe the other one was an officer who was in an area where a crime was occurring at that particular point in time. So we're starting to see some benefits, but I mean, we're still in the evaluation phase for that predictive policing program. But we see that it does have some promise right now. Sure.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for that presentation. Fantastic information. I just want to clarify some information I recently saw in a community publication. There was reference to a 40% increase in response times. Is there anywhere that validates or supports that statistic?
Well, Mayor and Vice Mayor Binsbacher, I have not seen any information that shows that we've had a 40% increase in response time. So we're talking primarily about priority 1 calls. Those are emergency response calls. I'm not sure where that information came from, but what I can tell you is looking at 2015 and 2016 numbers, and I went back and looked at the numbers from May of 2015 and compared the numbers with May of 2016. And looking at those two, we only saw a 11-second increase in priority 1 calls for service.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Did you say 11 seconds?
Correct, 11 seconds.
You are keeping good track, aren't you? Wow.
Well, that's one of the statistics that we go over with on a monthly basis.
Not quite 40%, huh? Councilmember Finn?
While I have you in the hot seat, I figured I'd ask you a few more questions.
Sure.
I also saw some correspondence out there that I wanted to kind of get a clarification on regarding some of our staffing numbers and kind of how many positions do we actually have that are vacant right now in the sworn officers?
Right now, we have 9 vacant positions.
And that's out of how many?
That's out of 195 sworn positions.
So about 5%?
5%.
About
Yes.
5%. And how about turnover where are we at on turnover? I heard a presentation earlier that the city as a whole is around 10% turnover. What's turnover for sworn officers?
I believe ours is less than that. I think we're looking at somewhere between 6 to 8%. But let me kind of put some things in perspective. We're talking about 9 vacancies, but we've been very aggressive in filling those vacancies. One of the programs that's been very beneficial for us as far as filling vacancies and really being able to fill them fast is our lateral entry program. Those are officers that we're able to hire that have previous law enforcement experience, either in-state or out-of-state. The ones that are in-state allow us to really fill those vacancies really fast because they're already Arizona State Certified Peace Officers. Just to give you some numbers, recently for 2015 and so far in 2016, we've hired 13 lateral entry officers. 7 of those officers have come from Yuma. We had another one who was a graduate of Glendale Community College who put his own self through the state certification program. We had another one who's come to us from Arizona State University Police, another one from Mesa, another one from Detroit PD, another one from Show Low PD, and another one from Pinell County. Now, in addition to those that we've already hired, we currently have a number of lateral officers. We've got one who we've already hired. He starts on the 18th of this month. He's a lateral from from Washington State. We've got another lateral from Yuma who's going to start on August the 1st. We've got another Yuma officer who's currently in background investigations. And we have another officer from Henniker, New Hampshire Police who's also in background investigations. And then we have 2 officers who are going to be interviewed tomorrow by executive staff, lateral entry officers. One's from Florence PD and the other one's from Mesa PD. Now, when we talk to our lateral officers, of course, we're curious about why they want to leave their current agencies and why they want to look at Peoria PD. And here are the 3 things that we continue to hear from our lateral entry officers. The first thing is the great pay and benefit that we offer our folks here in Peoria. The second one is the quality of life in the schools here in Peoria. And the third one, which is really important, and is really a testament to you, Mayor and Council, and that is the outstanding reputation of the city and the police department. So those are 3 things that are really working in our favor as far as being able to attract lateral entry officers. In addition to that, we also talk about basic entry positions. These are people who take the entry-level test who don't have any previous law enforcement experience. This year, with this hiring cycle we're in now, we had right at about 200 applications for police officer. We went through those applications, and when we went through them and vetted them, we had 158 who actually fit the criteria to move forward. And out of that 158, we've already have 70 RSVPs for our testing later on this month. So we're still continuing to see really, really good response to openings for sworn positions here in the police department.
That's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a lot of people coming in, laterally coming in. Not as much movement going out, I'm assuming? People laterally moving away from Peoria?
So far, we've had 3 officers who have lateral to other departments, 2 to Phoenix and 1 to Paradise Valley.
So way more coming in that's going out?
Correct.
Awesome, that's great. And by the way, Chief, I used to have to build budgets with a 5% vacancy rate, so meaning that if I was ever fully staffed, I'd blown my budget. So 5% is not bad at all.
Thank you.
I built budgets on that, so that's good. Thank
Well,
you very much. I
I'm
appreciate
just
it.
add
Thank
one point to that, Councilmember Finn. And of course, the council will remember in this past budget process, there was some additional money for what we consider and call out as sometimes double fill. And that was recognizing that, as Laura Kraus mentioned in her presentation earlier this evening, we keep good data on who we anticipate is likely to retire within a given period of time, and we knew there would be a fair number of retirements right now, and so there's double fill dollars in the police department as well.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Councilmember Hunt?
I think I would be negligent if I didn't, especially after this holiday weekend where Peoria came through, I believe, really well in terms of police and fire both. I just really want to say thank you to our police on the street, the officers on the street. If nothing else, those awful uniforms you have to wear in the sun, I understand, I understand why you do it, but I'm always so sympathetic when I see them standing out in the heat with those, with the body armor and everything. Your comment on the perception of safety, I certainly think that the perception of safety is very strong in our city. I know I feel completely safe, and it's due to our officers on the street. And I really appreciate them. I appreciate them going into my neighborhoods and making those people feel safe. So thanks to all of you cops out there.
And thank you.
Any other comments? I also want to say thank you. I believe that Peoria PD makes us proud every single day, and I am really pleased with our low crime rate and the fact that our citizens can feel safe in their communities, on their streets at night, and in their homes. It's very important. And you've got a tremendous story to tell when it comes to the use of technology and making sure that our officers have the best equipment and everything that we need that's cutting edge. So I appreciate all that you do. I appreciate how visible you are in all of our community activities. You're everywhere all the time. I don't know how you do that, but I know our citizens really appreciate seeing you everywhere that they go. And I know that you created a report that was an overview, kind of a summary of the crime statistics and all of those things. Can you tell me where our citizens can find this? Is it on the city's website, or is it on the PD website?
Correct. We'll be making that report available on the city's website, Mayor.
The city's website?
Correct.
Okay, so people can go to peoriaaz.gov and find that report so they have all the facts.
Correct.
Good, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And thank you, Mayor and Council, for your continued support. Really appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Swenson?
Yes, as the chief is picking up his new laptop there, or pad, industrial strength pad, it looks like. John Sefton's coming up, and Councilmembers just mentioned last night's 4th of July celebration, and John has a little report for us on that.
That I do. Thank you, Mr. Swenson. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and of course it was a wonderful All-American Festival last night. I have a few thank yous before we get to a quick video recap, but I want to thank Vice Mayor and Councilman Edwards for coming out bright and early, doing all the TV spots and welcoming the entire community out. We had over 12,000 folks come out to the event, and was a great, just enough elbow room experience, and a few people to thank. And of course, the gentleman that just sat here before me, our police force was out in full force to make sure that the crowd was safe. Our fire medical team was in place to make sure that those that kind of suffered the little bit of heat exhaustion were quickly taken care of. I want to thank my team, the community services team, for their dedication and their continued out and about running around to make sure that everything was in place. It was absolutely incredible. And I want to thank our communications team for really pulling together the image and the appearance of our very, very special All-American Festival. And with that, Eric Rodriguez pulled together a very quick video. Hit it, sir.
Well, speaking of celebrations, Corey is in Peoria because they do this annual event. I know that I remember growing up going to it. I do.
Oh, Andrea, you're exactly right. And they've been at it such a long time, this All-American Blast out here at the Peoria Sports Complex. And this is exactly what the Founding Fathers had in mind. The tallest inflatable water slide in the world.
talk about quality of life, those smiles say it all. And I must say, our vendor for our fireworks show really has it nailed down. We've all been watching fireworks for many, many years, but this gentleman really puts together a show, all the right pops, all the right booms, and all the right spaces in between. So with that, thank you very much, and we'll be back next year for another one.
Thank you, John. And the last item I have under my report is just we got notified last week, and this is an early note, and we'll talk more about it at a future meeting, but we received yet again this year from the International City Management Association the top award that they have for our performance management and performance measurement. It's their award for excellence, and it's something that I'm really proud of, and I want to commend the directors and our budget staff for their hard work in achieving that. So, and that's all I have this evening.
Great, congratulations. All right, we will now move on to reports from City Council and start with Councilmember Patena.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended with you the Chamber of Commerce awards presentation, and there were a lot of awards given out that evening, but the one that was special to me was an award that was given to Deep Within. It was actually a $1,000 check. They're a not-for-profit organization that treats people with substance abuse issues, and this is as a result of your recognizing them at your mayor's State of the City. So nobody deserves that money more than they do, and will use it better than they will, so thank you for that. Also attended the Desert Harbor HOA meeting. There were about 30 people in attendance, and I had a chance to give a little bit of an update of what's going on in the city of Peoria. It was a good meeting, and it's always good for me to get out and see what's going on in the subdivisions and what their needs are and how they're moving forward as a community. So it was enjoyable. And I attended the 4th of July event yesterday, and I walked the whole area, and I saw people from infant children to people that were well into their 80s. It's hard for me to understand the logistics of putting something like that together. There was 4 or 5 bands playing at the same time, water slides, bouncy houses, a cornhole tournament, food vendors, being taken care of, all the people by the police and fire. And of course, there was an amazing fireworks display. But I think the most important thing is that, as Peoria always does, we kept that event affordable for everybody. And that's why we had a turnout of 12,000 people. So, John, thank your staff for that. Congratulations to Jen Stein on your promotion. Congratulations to Katie Gregory on your promotion. Katie, I'm always afraid your head's going to explode. You have so many numbers in your head. I asked her today if there was money given to the veterans, and not only did she know the number, but she knew how it was broken down. So thank you for that. Chief Minter, thank you and your police officers for keeping us safe. And Carl, congratulations on your award as well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, on the 22nd of this month, I attended the MAG Desert Peaks Award, and Peoria was selected as one of the cities for their excellence in the paratransit initiative, and basically bringing transportation to the handicapped. And so on behalf of MAG, they would like to present this award to the city of Peoria.
It's beautiful. Desert Peaks 2016. Right
We can add it to one of our many, many awards.
Yes.
So,
Trophy case.
Yes. On the 23rd, I attended the West Valley Mixer over in Buckeye with Bill and Mike, even though it was a little bit far to go. It's always great to see leaders from other cities and learning what they're doing and trying to feed off of each other on making sure that the West Valley is becoming more prominent over the East Valley. So it was always great to hear ideas and just constantly be reminded how great Peoria and the West Valley are. So I want to continue to keep that growing. On the 30th, I attended with you the groundbreaking over at the Meadows for Mary Kay Homes, and so they're bringing in another phase of a master plan community. This phase will be 177 homes, ranging from 8,000 square feet lot to half-acre lots, and so they really have a quality product, and it was really great that they chose Peoria to be the premier location for what they're calling NOPO, which is North Peoria. But it was very gratifying to know that they love what Peoria, they constantly talked about Peoria staff, how easy they are to work with, how accommodating they are. So Carl, on behalf of myself and the city and the council, thank the staff for us. And then yesterday I did attend the 4th of July, and with the vice mayor. I tried to get her to go up the slide with me, but she just wouldn't go. But I did go up the slide, and 5.5 stories, and it was nothing but sheer terror, I will tell you that.
How many times did you do that?
I did it 6 times, and the reason I did it 6 times is because I was trying to promote Peoria, and I was asked by the news channels, you know, can you help us promote Peoria? And Jen Stein up there is giving me the high five. So Jen, I was definitely promoting Peoria every time I was going down that slide. So again, it was a great turnout. John, thank your staff, all of the members, the volunteers, and the paid employees did a phenomenal job. They represented Peoria in the best sense of the word. So thank you. And again, Katie, congratulations to you for your promotion. And Jen, congratulations to your promotion. I'm sorry that your son is not here, because I was going to do a shout out to him because he wanted to talk about city government, and I was going to talk to him a little bit, but congratulations anyway. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Binsbacher?
Thank you, Mayor. I see you in an entirely different light. He flew down that slide. So I want to comment on the Quality of Life Committee. Again, you know, what an amazing, I guess, process that unfolded here. And the representation was balanced, and it encouraged citizen involvement, engagement, and regardless of where you stand or agree or disagree, this is how this process is supposed to work. It's about what the people want, and I feel very confident that Peoria is giving them what they want by moving forward with this. I want to congratulate Katie on your promotion, Jen, your promotion, both well-deserved. I love to see internal promotions and opportunities given to folks that have proven themselves again and again. I particularly have to comment on the communication for Peoria and how I have seen it evolve in the past year, and I've watched it for many years, but you've really taken it to a whole nother level and raising the bar. It's strengthening our credibility. We have an amazing story to tell, and I just look forward to seeing you grow, both of you grow. Gosh, let's see. Thank you, Chief Minter, for that fantastic presentation. That's very meaningful information, very important to our citizens. And very excited about the expansion of the Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Facility and moving forward with the community park design projects. Lots of great things happening. Great finish to this fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Finn.
Thank you. I will try and be brief here. Katie and Jen, congratulations, well-deserved, outstanding. Very happy for us and for you. I did have an opportunity to attend a grand opening for Noodles & Company, which really wasn't it's fantastic food, don't get me wrong. The beef stroganoff is out of this world. I recommend it highly. But there was a group there called Fighter Country Partnerships. It's a charity for kids out on military bases. And they had 600 people RSVP to come to that charity event. It was awesome. I luckily got in really quickly, got to mow down some of that stroganoff and beat the crowd a little bit. But 600 and some people. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about just briefly, I wanted to give accolades to my district, Palo Verde District. There is a developer that wanted to bring a concept forward. We don't even have an application here with the city, but neighbors decided they wanted to hear a little bit more about it. And Bill was it was the same building where he had his HOA meeting, and you had 30 people,
Yeah.
right? This was an impromptu meeting. Hey, the developer's going to show up, the council member's going to be there, you might want to come. There had to have been 150 to 200 people. We had no room. We packed in hallways. It was unbelievable. My shout out to them is if everybody cared that much about their neighborhoods, what's going on in the city, what's going on in the state, and what's going on in our country, and came out and voted, this place would be one heck of a great place. So props to them for coming out and caring about their community. And it was a fantastic meeting, awesome meeting, and I was so excited to see that many people come out and care about the neighborhood. So thank you. I won't see you all for a little while. I think we're on break for a little bit. Have a very safe summer. Stay out of trouble. I'll try and do the same. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, for those of you that have been watching downtown development with bated breath, keep an eye on us the next few weeks because some buildings are going to be coming down. And this is just part of moving forward. And so we're pretty excited about that. I think you'll really enjoy what you see there. Also, Katie and Jen, I can't think of anybody more deserving of the promotions than you two in your special areas of expertise. You're both just amazing. And yes, we are on summer break in a few minutes. And I want to wish everybody who's traveling just really, safe journeys. And if you're getting away from here, then that's good because it's so hot. So try to go somewhere cooler. And then we'll see you back here in, about 6 weeks, right? Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Leone.
Yes, thank you. I just want to mention that I also went to the 4th of July event yesterday. It was great. That's one of our biggest events that we have. It's one of them. There's about 4 or 5 of them, but that's one of them, and it was just great. Had a lot of people there, and the slides, and my grandkids enjoyed it. But I did want to say that the fire department, the police department, all the volunteers, and the whole staff did a great job, and I want to congratulate them on it because it's not easy to do that kind of work, and they were there. And when I first walked in the gate, about 5 minutes of 5, the firefighters already had 2 patients in their office taking care of them. So I just want to, again, congratulate the staff, the police department, and the fire department. And I do want to say, I've been here on 5 different police chiefs, and the only one I see at the events all dressed up that looks like a cop is Roy Menta. So I don't know if he's out there looking for money or not, but he's out there. It's always good to see him. And I want to congratulate Katie again. She's getting a big head as it is. So, on that there, the other thing I want to say is that, and Monica can correct me if I'm wrong, I think August 31st is the last day to register to vote. No?
August 1st is the last day to register to vote for the primary election.
Oh, August 1st.
The primary election is August 30th.
So it's all over, you can't register.
I'm sorry?
You can't register now?
You can register up until August 1st.
Okay, so if you haven't registered, get out there and register because we get some good candidates running, and especially in the city elections, you get some good candidates. So we want you to get out there and vote and help get your candidate elected. Also, I just want to mention that every Friday at Pioneer Park, they have those trucks out there selling food and all kinds of goodies. So if you haven't gone out there, food trucks, haven't gone out there, I'd advise you go out there and enjoy yourself. Families go out there with their kids and they go in the splashing water and they just, they just enjoyed themselves. Last time I was there, that place was so packed, you couldn't even get around. So I think it's great that we have that going on, and let's keep it going. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America, and have a good vacation.
Thank you. I just want to say that during the course of this year, we have had more citizen involvement in all of the things happening in our city than I can remember. We had a large group of people meeting to talk and confer about the city charter, our city's governing document, and deciding how they wanted that to read and what they wanted to do with that document as we update it and, move into the future. And then we had the Peoria Citizens Committee for Quality of Life, a group of people who met for months and months and learned everything that they could learn about the city of Peoria, all of its amenities, all of its future, all of its funding sources, all of its lack of funding sources, and how we were going to formulate ourselves, our amenities, our future as we grow into the second half of our city. So all of these people took so much of their time and energy and spent it on their city, on their community, because they care so much about where they live, they care about their property values, they care about the scenery outside of their door, and the amenities that their kids and grandkids can enjoy. So I would just like to thank them for how much of themselves they put into our city. They did recommend that we send a tax increase of 0.4 cents to the ballot in November, and we will be doing that for the citizens of Peoria to decide. They need to decide whether they want to concur with these projects, whether they want to move forward with the quality of the city that we have been building up to this point. They need to make their own choice, but that is the choice of the citizens of Peoria, and we are very, very proud to be able to offer that choice to them, because it's time to build the second half of our city, and we want to know what you care about. So with that, I would like to thank the staff of the city of Peoria, because we could have never moved forward with all of the things that we have done, all of the progress we have made in this year alone, this fiscal year alone, if it had not been for the professionalism and the attention to detail and the quality of the staff that you, Mr. Swenson, have. It's incredible. You're sitting right here in front of us, and being able to promote Katie Gregory and Jen Stein from within is just evidence of the caliber of people that we have. Everybody's just kind of being held back until they can move forward, and everybody that we have in our city is so strong and such great leaders that we are just thrilled and lucky to have you. So we are now on council break until the last week of August. Wish you all a safe summer, and we look forward to seeing you back again at that time. Take care. We are adjourned.